Chapter 1158. In front of an absolute powerhouse, the soul manipulation talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield could only be regarded as small tricks. However, if two experts of similar strength were to fight each other, and both sides were exhausted, if one of them took out a soul-controlling talisman, then it was very likely that they would be able to secure the victory, or even take the opponent's life. When used in this way, the absolute value of the soul manipulation talisman could be demonstrated. For example, when Chu Zhanghuan was suppressed by Su Yi in the Sacred Mountain in the Sacred Martial Secret World, he suddenly took out a soul manipulation talisman and turned the situation around instantly. It could be said that if not for the soul manipulation talisman shield given by the Lingbao Pavilion, Su Yi would have died on the spot. Then, brother, what does this have to do with the giant soul stone? Su Yi asked again. Don't worry, I'll tell you slowly. Merciless West waved his hand and signaled Su Yi to be quiet. Then he said to himself, the soul manipulation talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield need this soul talisman to carry and seal the power of the remnant soul. He tossed the palm-sized object in his hand before continuing. It's not troublesome to refine this thing. The troublesome part is to draw out the remnant soul and seal it within it before creating the soul-controlling killing talisman. This is a matter that consumes a lot of spiritual strength. With my current soul strength, if I want to make a soul manipulation talisman that is equal to my full strength attack, at least 30% of my soul strength will be consumed. 30%? So he was a little shocked. This consumption was a little too high. In other words, if his brother tried his best to make it, he could only make 3 soul manipulation talismans at a time. This efficiency was too low. It seemed that this kind of refining was much more exhausting than using the remnant soul to fight. In the process of sealing the remnant soul, it consumes a lot of soul strength. This can't be helped. After all, it's not easy to keep the soul manipulation talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield for a long time. Otherwise, if something goes wrong and it explodes beside you, it will be your own death. Merciless West said softly. I see. Su Yi nodded in understanding. Sealing soul strength was actually the most important thing. Otherwise, carrying this thing around would be like carrying a ticking time bomb. His heart would definitely be tight, and he wouldn't be able to sleep well. At this point, Merciless West once again looked at the green stone in front of her and slowly said, and this is where the effect of this giant soul stone lies. It has a great suppressive effect on soul force. When we mobilize the power of the remnant soul, we can borrow the power of the giant soul stone to easily suppress and seal the remnant soul, which can greatly reduce the consumption of soul power. Can it have such an effect? Su Yi was surprised. He had indeed discovered the terrifying suppression of soul force by the giant soul stone. Back then, hadn't he almost fallen for it? Even though he was sitting there with his current cultivation, he could faintly feel an invisible force trying to pull his soul out of his body. Let me show you. As Merciless West spoke, she placed the palm-sized object on the giant soul stone, which glowed brightly. Soon after, his 5 fingers began to form a series of hand seals, and a powerful soul force began to emanate from his body. In an instant, from a distant place in the space, a cold wind whistled and quickly gathered in front of Merciless West. Within the cold wind, there was a shadow of a barbaric demon beast, which was roaring angrily. Su Yi knew that the mysterious space could be connected to the outside world, which was why he could easily lead the remnant soul in. After the barbarian demon beast image appeared, it was originally still roaring nonstop, but under the control of Shi Qing, when it approached the giant soul stone, it instantly became well-behaved. It was as if it had transformed from a furious beast into a well-behaved kitten. Seal. In this situation, Merciless West lightly shouted and pointed her finger. The remnant soul of the barbaric demon beast was sealed in the palm-sized talisman. Shortly after, Merciless West's fingers moved continuously and carved mysterious patterns on the talisman. It was extremely mystical. The entire process was like moving clouds and flowing water. There was not the slightest bit of hindrance. Merciless West's movements looked extremely relaxed. Done. After a while, he threw the completed object on the giant soul stone to Su-Yi and said, "This is the soul manipulation killing talisman. Once it is activated, it can reach 80% of my full strength. 80% of your strength. You can refine it so easily." Su-Yi was astonished as he looked at the soul manipulation killing talisman in his hand. 80% of Big Brother's full strength should be equivalent to the full strength of an 8th level Origin Emperor. This was definitely a good item that could be used at a crucial moment. Looking at Big Brother's appearance, it seemed to be very easy to refine it. Now you know the use of the giant soul stone. Refining the soul manipulation killing talisman is only one aspect. After all, no one needs too much of this thing. Following this train of thought, this item will be able to develop even more wonderful uses. Facing Su-Yi's astonished gaze, Merciless West smiled and said, "The giant soul stone was a rare treasure, but it definitely couldn't be used to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman and the soul manipulation talisman shield. Big Brother, how many of these soul manipulation killing talismans can you refine in one go?" Su-Yi was astonished and couldn't help but ask Merciless West, "With this giant soul stone, I can refine around 30 of them consecutively. If I want to reach the power of my full strength, I can only refine around 10 of them." Merciless West did a rough calculation and said after a while. Su-Yi's eyes widened. He could refine around 30 of them with 80% of his strength, and 30 of them with full strength. This number was really terrifying as it increased by more than 3 times in an instant. Then, Big Brother, how long will it take for your soul power to refine the soul manipulation killing talismans after you refine 30 of them? He asked again. If it's in your space, it will take around half a day to recover. Merciless West said, "How many of them can you refine in one go if you refine them with 50% of their strength?" He asked again as he stared at Merciless West with eyes full of expectation. "Around 200 of them." "Why?" Merciless West was puzzled by Su-Yi's gaze. 200 of them. That's great." Su-Yi suddenly jumped up and said excitedly, "Refine 200 soul manipulation killing talismans in one go with the power of at least a 6th or 7th level Origin Emperor Realm expert. I'm rich." Looking at Su-Yi's excited expression, Merciless West's face immediately pulled a long face and said angrily, "Kid, did you not hear what I said? I'm just giving you an example to refine the soul manipulation killing talismans. I'm not asking you to use it to refine the soul manipulation killing talismans." He rolled his eyes and had no idea what Su-Yi was so excited about. The giant soul stone shouldn't only be used for this. There should be more uses for it. Whether it was the soul manipulation killing talisman or the soul manipulation talisman shield, it wouldn't be of much use if there were too many of them. These things were worth a little money, but the Bawang sect already had mineral reserves. Would they be lacking in origin stones? Big Brother, look, when can you refine a batch of soul manipulation killing talismans? The more the better. Su-Yi was still immersed in his own excitement as he spoke to Merciless West. He rubbed his hands excitedly and was as happy as a child. "What do you need so many soul manipulation killing talismans for?" Merciless West was still rolling his eyes. He couldn't understand Su-Yi's thought process at all. The soul manipulation killing talismans couldn't be eaten as food, and it didn't have much use in a fight between real experts. If there were too many of them, it really wouldn't be of much use. Big Brother, your thinking is limited." Su-Yi suddenly laughed and said with a longing look, "Big Brother, imagine if we have an inexhaustible supply of soul manipulation killing talismans in our hands. When the time comes, if any force offends us, we can go to their sect and casually throw down a few thousand soul manipulation killing talismans. What kind of scene would that be?" He blinked and stared closely at Merciless West, wanting to see his reaction. Hearing Su-Yi's words, Merciless West was stunned. According to this kid's train of thought, if they really had so many soul manipulation killing talismans, they could go to other sects and randomly throw them down. That would definitely turn the place upside down. Such a scene was beautiful just thinking about it. It was simply unimaginable. Big brother, think about it again. If you refine a soul manipulation killing talisman with 100% of its power and throw out 10 or 20 of them at once, I'm afraid even a first-level origin ancestor powerhouse would be a little fearful. He chuckled again. Merciless West's eyes lit up. He was convinced by Su Yi's train of thought. If that was really the case, then the value of the soul manipulation killing talisman would indeed multiply. Although the Bawang sect's current strength isn't weak, it's definitely not considered strong as a whole. Let's not talk about taking the initiative to attack others. At the very least, when we have so many soul manipulation killing talismans, we won't be strapped for manpower when defending our own sect, Su Yi continued. In reality, he mainly had the experience of his previous life. The way of war in his previous life was completely different from the way it was in the Sky Barbaric continent. The powerful cannonballs that were thrown out there could have an extremely strong deterrent effect. Here, of course, the logic was the same. Besides, it didn't mean that Su Yi's brain was nimble enough to think of this level. In reality, a normal person would absolutely not dare to think about it, because the soul manipulation killing talisman could only be made by a soul manipulation master. Soul controllers were already rare existences, let alone powerful soul controllers, which were even rarer. Not only that, when making the soul manipulation killing talisman, the consumption of soul power was too great. It was destined that this thing could not be mass-produced and could only be used in small quantities in case of an emergency. However, now that they had the giant soul stone, it seemed like this problem was easily solved. They already possessed the energy to mass-produce the soul manipulation killing talisman. Chapter 1159. Just thinking about it, Su Yi was full of energy and excitement. You really have a lot of bad ideas in your stomach. Merciless West smiled bitterly. When Su Yi was up to no good, not many people could withstand it. If he really made a large number of soul manipulation killing talismans, those who offended the Bawang sect would definitely suffer. Su Yi smiled and suddenly asked, "All right, big brother, will the giant soul stone be consumed in the process of using it?" He blinked and had some hope. If the giant soul stone was consumed too quickly, it would be a little troublesome. The soul manipulation killing talismans couldn't be used in large quantities for a long time. Of course it will be consumed. Merciless West confirmed Su Yi's guess. Hearing this, Su Yi's excitement disappeared by half. However, Merciless West's next words made Su Yi's eyes light up again. If it's used to make the soul manipulation killing talisman, the consumption of this thing is relatively small, but it can't be used continuously. After the energy is consumed, it will become an ordinary stone. However, this giant soul stone has an advantage, which is that it can automatically devour the energy between heaven and earth to recover and even improve its quality. I see. Su Yi nodded. He just knew about this situation. According to this, it was unknown if the Seven-Star Sword sect's mineral reserve was formed because of this Ju Soul Stone, or if this Ju Soul Stone was born from within the mineral reserve. Merciless West's meaning was very clear. The giant soul stone could self-repair and absorb spiritual energy to improve its quality. In this mysterious space, there was no need to be afraid of insufficient energy. In other words, even if the energy in the giant soul stone was consumed too much, it could be quickly replenished in the mysterious space. Knowing this, Su Yi was relieved. At least he didn't have to worry about the giant soul stone being useless. Kid, it's not impossible for me to help you refine the soul manipulation killing talisman in batches. With my speed, as long as I have enough materials, I can refine nearly 1,000 of them in a day. I can even refine 100 of them with 80% of their power. However, since I've worked so hard for you, what benefits should you give me? Shi Wuqing looked at Su Yi with his deep eyes, a smile on his lips. He knew that this guy had a lot of good stuff on him. If he didn't take the opportunity to extort some from him, he would be letting himself down. Big brother, you're treating me like an outsider. Now, the Bawang sect doesn't just belong to me. You have a share too. Isn't it our duty to contribute to the Bawang sect? Isn't it a little too vulgar to talk about rewards? So he quickly said, Kid, don't try to deceive me with words. You're the sect master's seat, so you should be the one worrying about resources. It's my duty to work for the Bawang sect, but even an emperor among ordinary people doesn't lack hungry soldiers. Even if you give me the position of a high priest, you can't order me around for free, right? Small things like guarding the mine are fine, but refining the soul manipulation killing talisman in batches will consume a lot of resources. Merciless West took out a gourd and took a sip, then rolled his eyes and said, he was secretly regretting his actions. He shouldn't have exposed his background to this kid. He should have negotiated with Su Yi more about the price. Su Yi suddenly felt helpless. He took out 2 bottles of spirit liquid from his space bag and handed them to Merciless West. He said, Big brother, you're too good at extorting people now. There's not much spirit liquid left. Big brother, drink it sparingly. Looking at Su Yi's bitter smile, Merciless West didn't hesitate. He snatched the 2 bottles of spirit liquid and put them into his space bag. Merciless West actually had a lot of spirit liquid on him. It had to be said that Su Yi was very generous at critical moments. He hadn't used up all the spirit liquid he had before. I'll take these 2 bottles of spirit liquid, but this alone won't be enough to get rid of me. If there's a chance in the future, help me find a spirit medicine called a 9-turn dragon scale grass. I have a great use for it. Merciless West said, 9-turn dragon scale grass. Su Yi was shocked. He knew about this spirit medicine. It was actually a spirit medicine that was close to the high level of the yellow grade. Its value was terrifying. If it was put up for auction, it would definitely be much more expensive than the Nebula Ganoderma. This 9-turn dragon scale grass could be used to refine a type of 9-turn heavenly pill. It was an extremely high-level pill, but he didn't know if Big Brother wanted to use it to refine this pill. Don't worry, Big Brother. I'll help you find a 9-turn dragon scale grass. Su Yi thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, no matter what Big Brother Merciless West wanted this precious spirit medicine for, he would try his best to find it. Overall, one thing was for sure. It was definitely not a bad thing. Merciless West nodded and said, also, buy more materials to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman. I only have so much here, and it will be used up by today. But you have to be careful. This thing may not be sold much outside, so you can't buy much each time. Su Yi nodded. The soul manipulation killing talisman was something that was rarely used. It didn't consume much, and the demand for it was not high. Therefore, there were not many materials to refine it in the market. It would not be easy to buy it in large quantities. I have a way. I can ask the Lingbao Pavilion to help me with this. With their ability, they will definitely be able to get a lot. Su Yi said with a smile. Merciless West raised his eyelids and said, I forgot that you have the black card of the Lingbao Pavilion. Then this should not be difficult. Today, Merciless West was surprised when he thought about the black card of the Lingbao Pavilion. With his current strength, it will be difficult to get a black card from the Lingbao Pavilion. He didn't expect Su Yi to have it. He didn't know how he got it. I'll do it as soon as possible. I'll trouble Big Brother then. Su Yi nodded. The black card of the Lingbao Pavilion had brought him a lot of convenience. Every time he went to buy and sell spiritual medicines or elixirs, he would sell them at a high price and buy them at a low price. This was a treatment that countless people could not enjoy, not to mention that he could get a large sum of primordial stones on credit. Presumably, the Lingbao Pavilion would have a way to get the materials to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman in large quantities. Besides, the 9-turn dragon scale grass that Big Brother wanted might also be available there. Right, I haven't studied this thing for a long time. Suddenly, Su Yi, who was thinking, became spirited. He took out a strange wooden box from his space bag and placed it on the ground. This wooden box was the one he had obtained at the auction. However, Su Yi couldn't open it after studying it for a long time. It's related to the powerhouse of the demons subduing sect in Yuzhou 8,000 years ago. It's very likely that it contains his lifetime inheritance. Su Yi mumbled to himself. Back then, it was precisely because of this wooden box that he ended up with such a huge debt. However, until now, he had not been able to open this wooden box, nor did he dare to open it by force. Otherwise, he would definitely damage the things inside. Let me try again. Merciless West picked up the wooden box and looked at it. There were many mottled marks on it. He released his soul power and penetrated the seal on the outside of the wooden box. He wanted to break it. However, after a while, all of Merciless West's power was bounced back. It's still not enough. This seal has been sealed for a long time, and the method is also very complicated. Unless it's someone with extremely powerful soul power, there's a chance to open it. With my current strength, it's still not enough. Merciless West said as he returned the wooden box to Sue-E. If that's the case, there's really some kind of treasure inside. Sue-E sighed. He had spent 1 billion one-star primordial stones to buy this thing. Judging from the seal, the things inside must be very precious. However, he didn't know when he would be able to open it. To be honest, Sue-E was a little anxious. What if the things inside had already decayed after 8,000 years? That would be a great loss for him. He would only feel at ease if he could open it with his own eyes. That little girl should still need some time to completely refine the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion pill. Let's go out first. When you buy the materials back, I'll refine the soul-controlling killing talisman. Merciless West looked at Sue-E and said to him. Sue-E nodded and didn't delay any longer. He walked out of the mysterious space with Merciless West. I just came back, and I'm already going out again. Sue-E rubbed his nose. He had just gone to the Spirit Treasure Pavilion a few days ago to repay his debt. In order to buy the materials, he had to make another trip. However, there was nothing he could do. The soul-controlling killing talisman definitely needed to be refined. Sue-E patrolled the mine for a while. Now the entire mine was in full swing. Other than the 2,000 people of the Heavenly Spider Sect, there were also many itinerant cultivators who had been recruited. This mine was no longer a big secret. Many people nearby knew about it. However, only the Jade Tripod Alchemy Sect knew about the exact amount of resources. Sue-E saw Wang Zhenquan. This old fellow's face was flushed red every day. He smiled whenever he saw people. He was living an incomparably happy life. Sue-E knew that this was all because of the prenatal stones. With so many resources being handed over to Wang Zhenquan, with his greedy personality, he must be overjoyed. Everything in the mine was in order, so there was no need to worry too much. The only thing he needed to guard against now was the people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy Sect coming again. After all, Sue-E had just tied up their 6 Origin Emperors and was using them as slaves. Where's Little Handsome? Sue-E was ready to set off. He made another trip to the city to buy materials from the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. However, after looking around, he didn't see Little Handsome Sue. He didn't know where he had gone. Lord Little Handsome should be fine. Master, why don't I accompany you into the city? Green Emperor stood up and said to Sue-E, No need, Yinhu and I will go. Sue-E shook his head. With his current cultivation, as long as he didn't encounter a high-level Origin Emperor realm expert, he would definitely be able to protect himself. The strongest force in the nearby area was only a third-rate force. Moreover, the 7-star sword school, Gimdeo sect, and even the Heavenly Spider sect had been eradicated. The remaining Xinjian sect and Lioa sect were all his own people. For Sue, he was still very safe. I will rush back as soon as possible. Chapter 1160. With the flaming winged devil tiger speed, a round trip would only take 2 days if it traveled at full speed. It was not too troublesome. After the flaming winged devil tiger obtained the benefits from the mysterious space, its cultivation base had improved by leaps and bounds. It had reached the 5th level of the Demon Void stage and was extremely powerful. Its speed was also extremely fast. Its aura could scare off many humans and savage demon beasts. On the flaming winged devil tiger's back, Sue-E began to cultivate while sitting cross-legged. He focused on tempering the primordial Yang Heavenly Bone. When they arrived at Sword Star City, Sue-E had already tempered more than 1 piece. He did not delay and quickly went to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. The person who received him was still shopkeeper Zhao Si. Sue-E told him all of his requirements. Just as he expected, there were not many materials used to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman in the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. However, Shopkeeper Zhao Si promised that he would mobilize the materials from other branches as soon as possible. Within a month, he would be able to get the amount that Su Yi needed. Moreover, Shopkeeper Zhao also told Su Yi that as a black card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, they could provide a door-to-door service for Su Yi. They would deliver the goods to him immediately without any additional fees. Su Yi was more and more surprised by the treatment he received from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. It seemed like he had underestimated the black card. He told Shopkeeper Zhao the location of the Bawang Sec's mine and paid the origin stones before leaving Swordstar City. The materials used to refine the soul manipulation killing talisman were not expensive. Su Yi bought a large batch in one go. He could refine 100,000 of them. The primordial stones that he had obtained from Yoha's sect had also been used up by half because of this. However, this was nothing to the current Su Yi. To refine so many soul manipulation killing talismans? What is the Bawang sect trying to do? After Su Yi left, Shopkeeper Zhao's calm face finally changed. With so many materials, no matter which soul controller it was, if they wanted to use them all up, they would have to work tirelessly for many years. Shopkeeper Zhao was completely baffled. He knew that Su Yi was a soul controller, but even if he wanted to use him for practice, he shouldn't have asked for so much. Su Yi didn't care about Shopkeeper Zhao's doubts. He once again set foot on the road back, sitting cross-legged on the back of the flaming winged devil tiger to cultivate the primordial Yang heavenly bone. He didn't waste any time. The huge flaming winged demonic tiger galloped through the void. Its speed was incomparably fast, but its back was stable. However, not long after it carried Su Yi into the vast forest, it suddenly trembled and swayed a little. Roar! The flaming winged devil tiger let out a low roar, warning Su Yi on its back. Experts are coming. In fact, before the flaming winged devil tiger, Su Yi had already noticed that something was wrong. He immediately opened his eyes and saw Anna's figure in the distance. She didn't deliberately release her aura, but it revealed the powerful aura of the Origin Emperor realm. Even though it was far away, it made the flaming winged devil tiger panic. Su Yi had to circulate the Origin Supreme technique to calm the throbbing in his heart. Flaming tiger, let's go down. Don't complicate matters. Su Yi instructed and let the flaming winged devil tiger descend into the forest, leaving the sky to the Origin Emperor realm expert. This time, Su Yi didn't accompany him. He didn't even have an expert like his big brother, Merciless West. Su Yi was also very cautious. He didn't want to face the Origin Emperor realm expert. The Origin Emperor realm woman, just now, was obviously just passing by. He didn't want to provoke her. This was the Chaos region. If he was killed by her, there would be no place for him to complain. A demonic, illusory realm brute beast. And that brat seems to be extraordinary. She should know where that bastard is, right? When Su Yi and the flaming winged devil tiger descended into the forest, the Origin Emperor realm figure in the distance noticed them and sensed the flaming winged devil tiger situation. It was an extremely beautiful woman. She looked to be in her 30s. She was wearing a palace dress, which made her look elegant. On the other hand, the woman's face was filled with a dense chilliness. Cold light shot out from between her brows, and a murderous aura was faintly emitted from her body. The beautiful woman glanced at the back of Su Yi and the flaming winged devil tiger. Her gaze was also extremely cold. Demonic illusory realm brute beasts were rare. Now that she encountered one, she didn't plan to let it go. She dashed out and instantly entered the dense forest. What's going on? Sensing that the aura was still coming for the two of them, Su Yi's brows were tightly knitted together. Can't you be more reasonable? I've already let you fly alone in the sky. I've already hidden and shown my weakness. Why are you still chasing after us? Flaming tiger, let's go. The faster the better. Su Yi's eyes darkened. He ordered the flaming winged devil tiger to speed up. Now, he still couldn't be sure that the Origin Emperor realm expert was really coming for him. However, Su Yi had to show a cowardly attitude. What if the other party wasn't really thinking about him? In front of me, Impermanence Fairy, do you think you can run away? A chilling voice rang out behind Su Yi's back and entered his ears. When the flaming winged demonic tiger heard this sound, its body began to tremble violently once again. It let out a series of low roars, carrying boundless fear. An invisible, terrifying, murderous aura came from behind, making it instinctively feel afraid. Suyi's situation was similar. Fortunately, his Origin Supreme technique was extraordinary. It stabilized his state of mind and calmed the flaming winged devil tiger down. Expert. It's definitely a high-level Origin Emperor Realm expert. Suyi's scalp went numb. He had seen many high-level Origin Emperor Realm experts, but he had never faced one alone. He always had his brother, Merciless West, Green Emperor, and the others to support him. Now that he sensed the invisible, terrifying aura spreading over, he felt a chill down his spine. The most terrifying thing was that such an expert was really coming for him. This made Su want to cry, but no tears came out. Who the hell did I offend? Split up and run. Su roared. His figure suddenly rose into the air and swept towards the sky. He had to separate from the flaming winged devil tiger. Only one of them could fall into the hands of the expert behind him. The other could go back and call for reinforcements and let his brother, Merciless West, come to rescue him. Otherwise, if something happened to him and the flaming winged devil tiger here, there would be no one to respond to him. Just as Su flew up, a terrifying gust of wind suddenly attacked and landed directly on his back. It was as if a mountain had smashed into him. PFFF. Su suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale in an instant. His body swayed, and he almost fell into the void. However, he tried his best to hold on, and still flew towards the distance to buy time for the flaming winged devil tiger, who was escaping in another direction. It's actually an Origin Void Realm kid. His talent is very strong. Behind him, the beautiful woman saw that Su was not seriously injured by her casual attack. She was quite surprised and couldn't help but be surprised. Her cold eyes narrowed slightly. Then, she stepped out lightly and stepped on the void. With one step, she covered a distance of several hundred feet. In just a few breaths' time, her figure directly blocked in front of Su Yi. Su Yi's escape movement instantly stopped. He stopped in midair and looked coldly at the Origin Emperor Realm woman who suddenly appeared. He said, "Senior, I have never provoked you. Why are you attacking me?" He felt a chill in his heart. With Su Yi's vengeful character, he would secretly remember this debt in his heart. "Do I need a reason to attack you?" The woman snorted coldly. Then, she gently raised her arm. Suddenly, a ray of light swept out. Su Yi could not resist in the slightest. She directly pulled him to her side and clasped a hand on Su Yi's arm. That seemingly delicate and white hand carried boundless strength. It pinched Su Yi's arm until it hurt. A huge sense of crisis arose in Su Yi's heart. This woman's strength was too strong. He was like an ant in front of her. He had no strength to resist. The power transmitted from the hand directly sealed the Yuan Qi in his body, making it impossible for him to circulate it. The woman brought Su Yi to the mountain forest and threw him to the ground. Without any delay, she asked, "Kid, if you can tell me where the Bawang sect is, and if the situation is true, I can consider letting you live." She stared coldly at Su Yi without blinking. When such a question came out, Su Yi's heart was suddenly shocked. Could it be that this person was actually targeting the Bawang sect? Which force was this expert from? When did the Bawang sect offend her? Su Yi's mind raced. In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. He had no idea about these questions. So Senior is looking for the Bawang sect. This sect's reputation has spread far and wide recently. There are no rogue cultivators in the nearby forces who don't know about it. If Senior wants to go, I can lead the way. He said these words almost without thinking. Then he changed the topic and asked intentionally or unintentionally, "But the Bawang sect is very strong. I wonder why Senior is looking for them?" "Very strong?" The beautiful woman suddenly sneered. She looked at Su Yi with disdain and said, "Are you talking about Merciless West? I'm here to find that old bastard. This time, I want to see where he can escape to." At the end of her words, the beautiful woman's body emitted a terrifying, murderous aura. A boundless evil aura was released, causing Su Yi's body to tremble. It was only now that he knew that this expert was the enemy of his big brother, Merciless West. He didn't know what kind of grudge there was between them that caused this woman's murderous aura to be so strong. However, Su Yi began to feel relieved. As long as he could lure this person to his big brother, everything shouldn't be difficult to resolve. There was hope that he could keep his life. However, he didn't know the exact cultivation of this woman, but he guessed that she couldn't be compared to his big brother, Merciless West. After all, his big brother was an existence that could fight with a half-step Yuan Ancestor Realm expert. Chapter 1161. In this short period of time, the flaming winged demonic tiger had already escaped. Of course, he knew what to do. He had to rush back to get reinforcements. However, the woman didn't seem to care at all. After capturing Su Yi, she didn't chase after the flaming winged demonic tiger. "Senior, is there some enmity between you and Merciless West?" Su Yi looked at the woman's murderous face, and her eyes filled with resentment. He couldn't help but be curious. He didn't know how much enmity there was between his brother, Merciless West, and this person. That old bastard has been hiding for 20 years. Finally, he showed himself. "I traveled thousands of miles to the Central Province, but I didn't expect him to come to the Chaos region. This time, he will either die in my hands, or—" The woman's eyes were filled with hatred. She gritted her teeth, and her beautiful face was filled with endless resentment. However, she suddenly paused and glared fiercely at Su Yi. At the same time, a fierce aura surged out and filled the air with killing intent. "You little bastard, if you dare to trick me again, I'll kill you." The woman narrowed her eyes and said to Su Yi with a cold gleam in her eyes. Su Yi's heart trembled, and he shut his mouth tightly. He didn't dare to say anything else. However, he also realized that the enmity between this woman and his brother was much deeper than he had imagined. Otherwise, she wouldn't have reacted only when the woman was about to finish her sentence. He had first heard that his brother, Merciless West, was famous back in the barbarian demon forest. However, he suddenly disappeared 20 years ago, and no one knew where he went. Some people guessed that he might have gone to hide from the Sky Dragon sect. Some people thought that he had gone to cultivate so that he could take revenge on the Sky Dragon sect. 20 years had passed, and Merciless West had suddenly entered the world's attention again. First, he had become sworn brothers with several youths at the Sacred Martial Assembly in the Central Province. A few months later, he had fought against a half-step Origin Ancestor Realm expert outside the Chaos region. His fame had soared and shocked the world once again. They traveled thousands of miles and even went to the Central Plains. Now, they've come to the Chaos region. How much hatred do they have for each other? Su Yi muttered in his heart. He only felt that this old debt was going to cause a big commotion. He didn't dare to say anything. If he revealed his identity, and this woman found out that he was Merciless West's sworn brother, wouldn't she kill him first? At the thought of this, Su Yi reckoned that this woman was extremely powerful. Otherwise, she would not have dared to come looking for him when she knew that his brother, the Merciless West, could fight a half-step Yuan Ancestor. "Senior, I'll bring you to the Bawang sect. When the time comes, you must let me live." Su Yi pretended to be scared and said to the woman with a bitter face, "Lead the way. If you dare to play any tricks, I don't mind sending you straight to hell. Dying at the hands of Impermanence Fairy can be considered a blessing that you have accumulated from your previous life," the woman said in a deep voice. Su Yi kept quiet out of fear, not daring to say another word. What a joke. Dying at the hands of this woman was considered a blessing that he had accumulated from his previous life. Whoever wanted this blessing could have it. In any case, Su Yi still wanted to be a 1,000-year-old tortoise. The longer he lived, the better. Su Yi pointed in a general direction. Then, his body was lifted up by the woman, and they moved quickly. He didn't say anything, but he kept muttering in his heart. The title of Impermanence Fairy sounded like a fairy, but if one thought about it carefully, they would feel a chill. However, Su Yi vaguely felt that something was strange. His brother, the Merciless West, was called Impermanence Fairy, and this woman was called Impermanence Fairy. How could there be a grudge between impermanence and impermanence? Whoosh whoosh, Impermanence Fairy's speed was very fast, much faster than the flaming winged devilish tiger. She was indeed a high-level origin emperor expert. Su-yi reckoned that the woman's cultivation base was even stronger than his brother, the merciless West. The two of them spent less than 4 hours and covered a quarter of the distance. At this rate, they would be able to reach the Bawang Sek's mine in another 12 to 12 hours. Su-yi wasn't afraid at all. As long as his life wasn't in danger, it would be easy. Once they reached the mine, his brother, the merciless West, the Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and Yi Ming would be able to put up a fight against a first-level origin ancestor, let alone this woman. Whoosh whoosh, two figures swept across the sky at an extremely fast speed. Just as they passed by a call, some figures below raised their heads and saw the two of them. If Su-yi was paying attention, he would definitely recognize these figures. They were the people from the Xianjian sect. The leader wasn't Ji Tianfu, but an old man. However, Ji Hanuo and Yu Wenshuan were also among them. Isn't that Su-yi? Yu Wenshuan's eyes were sharp. He immediately recognized Su-yi. It's him, Ji Hanuo said. She couldn't have mistaken Su-yi for someone else. But who is that woman beside him? She doesn't seem to be from the Bawang sect, right? The old man from the Xianjian sect was very puzzled. He was also an origin emperor. After the Bawang sect annihilated the Gimdeo sect, he had seen Su-yi and the other experts from the Bawang sect. There wasn't such a woman among them. Indeed, I've never heard of this person. Ji Hanuo frowned and said softly, if I'm not wrong, Su-yi is being held hostage. As an origin emperor expert, his eyesight was extremely sharp. He could see many details that others couldn't see clearly. Held hostage, Ji Hanuo became anxious when she heard that. Her beautiful face was filled with anxiety. You guys wait here. I'll go check out the situation. The old man instructed Yu Wenshuan and the others. He was about to soar into the sky when Ji Hanuo grabbed his sleeve. Elder Nyan, I want to go check it out too. Bring me along, Ji Hanuo said hurriedly. Her tone was filled with urgency. The old man, who was addressed as Elder Nyan, seemed to have understood something. He looked at Ji Hanuo's pleading eyes. After pondering for a moment, he didn't dare to delay and nodded. All right. Subsequently, Ji Hanuo soared into the sky under Elder Nyan's guidance and chased after Su-yi and the woman. Elder Nyan's cultivation was at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. He chased with all his might and soon closed the distance between them. Wuchang Fairy's speed was extremely fast. However, she didn't rush with all her might. After a while, she sensed the movement behind her. Seeing that someone was chasing after them, she couldn't help but frown. Her killing intent bloomed, and her speed naturally slowed down. Su-yi! Su-yi! Such a shout came from behind and entered Su-yi's ears. He turned around and saw Ji Hanuo and an expert from the Xianjian sect chasing after them. Swish, Elder Nyan brought Ji Hanuo and blocked Su-yi and Ji Hanuo's path. Wuchang Fairy's beautiful eyes turned cold when she saw this scene. I remember that the sect master of the Bawang sect is called Su-yi. He's a young man. So it's you. Wuchang Fairy turned to look at Su-yi and said in a deep voice, what a coincidence. You're that old bastard's sworn brother. The cold light in her eyes pierced Su-yi's eyes. Under the situation where he couldn't circulate the Origin Supreme technique, Wuchang Fairy's power was unbearable for him. Senior, Su-yi's heart was filled with endless bitterness. Not long ago, he was thinking that he must hide his identity properly. Otherwise, this woman might kill him first. He didn't expect to meet Ji Hanuo and the people from the Xianjian sect in such a short time. Su-yi really wanted to cry, but had no tears. What he was afraid of really happened. This time, he was probably in trouble. However, one thing was obvious. The Xianjian sect's elder and Ji Hanuo must have rushed over to save him. Sure enough, after stopping the two of them, the elder Nyan asked in a deep voice, "Who are you? Let this young man go." The elder Nyan's expression turned serious. He could faintly feel that the woman opposite him was very powerful and he might not be her match. However, with the relationship between the Xinjiang sect and the Bawang sect, he couldn't ignore it. This matter had to be dealt with. A puny 5th-level Origin Emperor dares to order me around. Wuchang Fairy's beautiful face was filled with murderous intent as she rushed towards the Elder Nian and Jihan Noa. Who are you? Let go of Sui quickly. Otherwise, the Bawang sect and the Xinjiang sect won't let you go. Jihan Noa's pretty face turned serious as she shouted at Wuchang Fairy. She didn't lose out to the Xinjiang sect's young mistress. However, the anxiety in the depths of her eyes could not be concealed, and Impermanence Fairy saw it all. Hee. Impermanence Fairy chuckled and looked at Jihan Noa. She began to say in a serious tone, "Little girl, I think you like this kid. Listen to my advice. There's no good man in this world. All of them should be cut into pieces. You'd better get over it before you're doomed." Su-yi and the Elder Nian's faces turned pale when they heard this. Who the hell hurt you so deeply that you're scolding all the men in the world? Are you crazy? However, they wouldn't dare to say such words out loud. You don't have to worry about this matter. Let him go quickly. Otherwise, even if we can't stop you today, the Xinjiang sect will hunt you down in the future. Jihan Noa's body suddenly emitted a fierce aura. Even though her cultivation was far inferior to Wuchang Fairy, she was still fearless. Su-yi was touched. This wasn't the first time Jihan Noa had helped him. Seeing that he was captured by the woman, she actually dared to challenge her. However, her aura couldn't suppress Wuchang Fairy at all. The woman said, "Xinjiang sect? I've never heard of it. I, Wuchang Fairy, am not even afraid of the Sky Dragon sect. Why would I be scared by a small force in the Chaos region?" His face was covered in frost as he replied coldly to Jihan Noa. Wuchang Fairy. Chapter 1162. The elder's eyes were wide open as he looked at the beautiful woman in front of him in horror. His body trembled slightly as he said, "You are Impermanence Fairy. You are Impermanence Fairy." Su-yi could not help but be surprised when he saw this. It seemed that Impermanence Fairy was also a very famous person, but he had never heard of her before. However, Su-yi grasped another important point, and that was the Sky Dragon sect. Does Impermanence Fairy also have a grudge against the Sky Dragon sect? Su-yi muttered in his heart. Since this beautiful woman and his brother, Merciless West, had a grudge against the Sky Dragon sect, they might as well join forces to deal with the Sky Dragon sect. After exchanging glances for a long time, the two of them might even have some friction. Why do they have to fight to the death? Wait. Su-yi's body suddenly trembled as he thought of this. As if he had touched a key note, is it really just a matter of life and death between my brother and Impermanence Fairy? He couldn't help but wonder if there was some sort of melodramatic drama between the two of them, such as abandoning each other after seducing and killing each other. If that was really the case, then things would be interesting. For a moment, Su-yi's heart was burning with the fire of gossip. He wanted to find out in detail, but when he thought of Impermanence Fairy's fierce appearance, it was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. Miss Hanua, you and the elder should leave first. I will take this senior to the Bawang sect. Nothing will happen. Seeing that Impermanence Fairy's aura was getting stronger and stronger, Su-yi did not dare to think too much and quickly said to Jihan Noa. This girl had a fierce look. If she angered Impermanence Fairy, Su-yi was really afraid that something big would happen. But Jihan Noa frowned and said anxiously. Just as she was about to say something, Impermanence Fairy spoke first. Little girl, you should give up while it's still early. This kid has been with that old bastard Merciless West for too long. He is definitely not a good person. You. Jihan Noa's eyes widened again and was about to continue speaking, but she was quickly pulled back by the elder beside her. Young miss, don't be agitated. The elder held Jihan Noa's hand, but his eyes were fixed on Impermanence Fairy. He said meekly, I didn't know it was Impermanence Fairy who came to the Chaos region. I apologize for offending you. I'll take my leave first. After that, he gave Su-yi a look that said, good luck. Elder Nian, elder. Jihan Noa panicked again. However, Elder Nian did not give her a chance this time. He immediately flew back the way he came. Not only that, the elder also released his aura and temporarily sealed Ji Han Nua, making her unable to speak. The two of them came quickly and left even faster. Impermanence Fairy did not stop them. He was even more curious now. He didn't know who this Impermanence Fairy was, to be able to force the elder to back down. However, when he saw Ji Han Nua being taken away by the elder, he let out a long sigh of relief. Elder Nien, I want to save Su-yi. After flying far away, the elder let go of Ji Han Nua, but the young girl immediately broke free from his arm and said anxiously, young miss, don't be anxious. Su-yi should be fine. The elder hurriedly said, that woman looks very fierce and is so strong. How can Su-yi be fine? Ji Han Nua was really worried. She had finally met Su-yi on the road. If she didn't save him, she really didn't know what would happen. Young miss, didn't you hear? Su-yi is bringing Impermanence Fairy to the Bawang sect. Su-yi will definitely be fine at the Bawang sect. That suicidal Yama, Merciless West, is extremely strong. I'm only at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. I'm not a match for Impermanence Fairy. If we force him, I'm afraid it will backfire. The elder advised again. Ji Han Nua slowly calmed down. What the elder said was true. Su-yi's life wasn't in danger at the moment. If they reached the Bawang sect, Merciless West would definitely have a higher chance of saving Su-yi. It was much more useful than them forcefully challenging the elder. However, she still couldn't understand and couldn't help but ask again, is that woman so stupid? Would she send herself to the Bawang sect's experts to save her? Young miss, you don't know. Impermanence Fairy and Merciless West seem to be old friends. 20 years ago, suicidal Yama, Merciless West, suddenly went into seclusion. No one knew where he went. In the years after that, Impermanence Fairy stirred up huge waves in various continents. She was bent on finding Merciless West. Because of her unknown relationship with Merciless West, the Sky Dragon sect, which had a grudge against Merciless West, also found her. However, the Sky Dragon sect suffered losses in the hands of Impermanence Fairy. In the end, they didn't dare to interfere. The elder said, that woman is so powerful? Ji Han Nua was surprised. Everyone knew that the Sky Dragon sect was the #1 faction in the Sky Dragon continent. It was one of the 3 sects and 4 factions of the One Mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects and 4 factions. It was even stronger than the Chaos region's Blue Cloud Hall, 9 Stars Valley, and Blood Sun sect combined. To be able to make the Sky Dragon sect suffer losses, it was enough to show how terrifying Impermanence Fairy was. Impermanence Fairy is naturally extremely powerful. She's most famous for her temperament. Everything she does is based on her mood. Just like the situation just now, if she's not happy, she might just kill all of us. The elder thought for a moment and continued, I don't know the details, but one thing is for sure. Her relationship with Merciless West is definitely not simple. According to the rumors in the past, she most likely came to the Chaos region from Merciless West. As long as she sees Merciless West, Su-yi will definitely be fine. Ji Han Nua didn't say anything. If that was really the case, then she didn't have to worry too much. No, I have to go to the Bawang sect. However, after thinking for a moment, Ji Han Nua still couldn't feel at ease and said, after saying that, she wanted to turn around and leave, but the elder reacted in time and pulled her back again. Elder Nien, quickly go back and find senior brother Yu and help me inform father. Ji Han Nua said. Eldest miss, seeing that the young man in front of him was so stubborn, the elder opened his mouth but didn't know how to persuade him. In the end, he could only helplessly nod and say, since eldest miss is so determined, I'll go with you. So you're the legendary Su-yi. Your talent is not bad, but it's a pity that you're with that old bastard. Then I'll beat you up first. After Ji Han Nua and the elder left, Impermanence Fairy suddenly stared coldly at Su-yi. Without saying anything, she swung her hand and a surge of chi hit Su-yi's chest, sending him flying. Ugh! Su-yi let out a muffled groan. He only felt that the blood in his body was surging and his body was about to explode. It was extremely painful. What the F asterisk CK? Su-yi cursed in his heart. This impermanence fairy attack, just like that. It was obvious that she wanted to vent her anger on him before seeing his big brother, Merciless West. What kind of sin did he commit? He was directly sent flying and tumbled in the void for a long distance before he began to fall. Impermanence Fairy's figure shot out and rushed over again. Seeing this, Su-yi hurriedly shouted, "Senior, please wait. I have a secret about Merciless West to tell you." If he didn't think of a way, Su-yi felt that he would lose his human form when he returned to the Bawang sect. As a sect leader, where should he put his face? Oh, what secret? Impermanence Fairy's interest was piqued. She quickly flew to Su-yi's side and lifted him up again as she asked curiously. Su-yi panicked as he was lifted up by her. After struggling for a while, he gritted his teeth and said, "I don't know what kind of grudge you have with my big brother, Merciless West, but I guess the two of you should." Su-yi stopped and looked hesitant. "Should what?" Impermanence Fairy asked with her eyes wide open. "That, Senior, when I was walking with my big brother, Merciless West, in the barbaric demon forest, I heard him talking in his sleep a few times. He kept mumbling a name called Xiao Chui. Later, when I asked him, not only did he not tell me, he even threatened to beat me up. But who wouldn't have guessed this? Xiao Chui is definitely my big brother's sweetheart. Now that I've met Senior, I think you're probably that Xiao Chui, right?" As he spoke, Su-yi looked at Impermanence Fairy with a serious face. He paid close attention to her expression, hoping to see something. Xiao Chui, after hearing Su-yi's words, Impermanence Fairy's killing intent suddenly exploded. She grabbed Su-yi in front of her and asked, "Speak, who is Xiao Chui?" Su-yi's heart trembled as he sensed the baleful aura. His blood was about to congeal. Junior doesn't know who Xiao Chui is. Big brother has been hiding it from me and didn't tell me. Su-yi panicked. This panicked expression was faked. Su-yi finally confirmed one thing. Impermanence Fairy and his big brother, Merciless West, definitely didn't just have a grudge. There must be something interesting going on. Su-yi was very curious, but he couldn't ask directly at this time. What he needed to worry about the most now was Impermanence Fairy's impermanence, so he could only drag his big brother, Merciless West, into the trap. Whatever, he had to think of a way to protect himself first, so he wouldn't have to suffer physical pain. Seeing the frost on Impermanence Fairy's face getting colder and colder, Su-yi pretended to be shocked and asked, "Senior, aren't you that Xiao Chui? Did I get the wrong person? How could Big Brother be such a person? This is simply intolerable. This kind of behavior must be strongly condemned. Just because he's Merciless West, he can't be taken for granted." Su-yi's face was filled with grief and indignation. Everything he said was nonsense without any logic. But when Impermanence Fairy heard it, she became angrier and angrier. She was on the verge of exploding. Lead the way. Chapter 1163. Su-yi finally heaved a sigh of relief. As long as Impermanence Fairy did not take her anger out on him, everything would be fine. After the commotion just now, he felt that things might not be as bad as he had imagined. There was definitely something going on between Big Brother Merciless West and Impermanence Fairy. Since that was the case, it would be easy to deal with. All he had to do was to direct all her anger on a Big Brother, and he would be able to retreat smoothly. Su-yi only felt that this method of diverting the trouble was simply too wonderful. The trouble was caused by Big Brother, so Su-yi did not feel the slightest bit of psychological pressure to let him take the blame. Impermanence Fairy and Su-yi traveled together at an extremely fast speed, much faster than the flaming winged devil tiger of the demon illusionary realm. On the same day, under Su-yi's guidance, they arrived at the location of the Bawang sex mine. "Big Brother, come out quickly." From afar, Su-yi began to shout loudly, his voice shaking the entire mine. Impermanence Fairy stood in the void with an angry look on her face, waiting quietly. "What the hell are you howling for?" After a while, Merciless West's response came, and in the next moment, his figure appeared in their line of sight, landing not far from Su-yi in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Merciless West's entire body twitched as if he had been electrocuted, his eyes staring straight at the beautiful woman beside him. You. You. Merciless West opened his mouth to say something, but only managed to say you for a long time. Old bastard, don't you recognize me? Impermanence Fairy raised her eyebrows, her killing intent bursting forth. You were Little Han? What are you doing here? Merciless West opened his eyes wide and said with a look of disbelief and began to brew with excitement. To think that an old bastard like you still remembers me. You left without saying goodbye 20 years ago, and I've been looking for you so hard. Today, I'm going to tear you apart. A violent aura burst out from Impermanence Fairy's eyes, and her figure rushed directly toward Merciless West, her hand striking out with a cold ice bolt. Let's talk nicely, don't fight. Merciless West, who had just become excited, was doused with cold water by Impermanence Fairy's actions, and could not help but shout. A fire attribute energy quickly formed in front of him, and it turned into a flame beast, clashing with Impermanence Fairy's ice bolt. Boom! When the two completely opposite energies collided, a terrifying rumbling sound immediately erupted. The energy storm swept out, turning into a hurricane that swirled and flew in the mountain range, tearing many trees to pieces. Master, I'll go help. Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor also came out of the mine at this time. He was supported by them, and the seal on his body was also removed. Seeing Merciless West fighting with someone, Green Emperor wanted to go up and help, and suppress the woman in the palace dress. No need. Let Big Brother deal with this himself. Let's just watch the show. He stopped Green Emperor and said so. His heart was filled with grievances, and he felt that he had suffered an undeserved calamity. After all, he had suffered in the hands of Impermanence Fairy. It seemed that he would not be able to get revenge from Impermanence Fairy for the time being. Then, he would put on Merciless West, and let him suffer a little in the hands of Impermanence Fairy. Only then would feel better. Moreover, this was Merciless West's own matter, and he was implicated. The Beast Emperors did not make a move. They stood together with in the air, watching the fierce battle between Impermanence Fairy and Merciless West. They were all shocked to find that Impermanence Fairy's strength was very terrifying. Her pure cultivation had already reached the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, which was 2 levels higher than Merciless West. However, in terms of combat strength, Merciless West was still much stronger. This was the perverse part of Soul Controller. What's going on? Lord Merciless West seems to be going easy on that woman. Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and the others quickly found that Merciless West was not using his full strength. Instead, he was being suppressed by the woman. He only defended and did not fight back. In the end, he looked more like a rat running away. Little Han, let's talk nicely. Merciless West shouted. I don't have anything to say to you. Impermanence Fairy continued to attack, she wooching as if her life depended on it. Impermanence Fairy continued to attack, she wooching. He could clearly see that the woman was clenching her teeth tightly. She was full of resentment, as if she wanted to eat Merciless West alive. Little Han, stop fooling around. There are so many juniors watching. Merciless West said anxiously. Don't talk nonsense with me. Die, old bastard. Impermanence Fairy's eyes were cold, and she did not respond to Merciless West's words. Merciless West only felt a deep sense of helplessness. He had a lot to say, but when he saw Green Emperor, and the others watching from the sidelines, he could not say anything. Especially that brat. He couldn't help but laugh, as if he was secretly laughing. This made Merciless West's face turn gloomy. After the two fought fiercely for a while, Merciless West gritted his teeth and flew into the distance without looking back. Old bastard, stop right there. Impermanence Fairy chased after him without any intention of stopping. In just a few breaths, the two figures flew into the distance and disappeared. No one knew where they went. They ran away. There's no good show to watch now. Suyi's face was filled with regret as he sighed. Master, where did that woman come from? She seems very strong. Should we chase after her and take a look? What if Master Merciless West needs help? Green Emperor looked into the distance and asked. That woman was very strong, but the Beast Emperors were not afraid of her. There's no need to chase after her. Let's go back first. He did not dare to chase after her. If Impermanence Fairy turned around and attacked him again, he would not be able to take it. Anyway, he had already tricked his big brother, so he should just let him solve the problem. Sui knew that he would be fine because Merciless West's strength was there for all to see. Moreover, the two of them had some inexplicable relationship. In the end, he still did not know what would happen. He did not delay and directly returned to the mine. It was only in the evening that the flaming-winged demonic tiger finally rushed back. However, when it saw that Sui was safe and sound, it was relieved. I'll go check on Fengqi. Sui instructed the Green Emperor and the others, then entered the mysterious space by himself. The moment he entered, a wave of poisonous gas that could topple mountains and overturn seas swept through the air, enveloping Sui's entire body in an instant. When the gas came into contact with his body, Sui felt as if his soul had been struck by lightning. He was instantly paralyzed, and for a moment he lost the ability to think. What a powerful poison soul. Sui sucked in a mouthful of cold air. He was incomparably shocked. Fortunately, his soul power was originally very strong, and Fengqi's current cultivation was not very high. Thus, she was able to expel the poison from her soul in an instant. If it was any other Voidless Realm expert, under the influence of Poison Soul, if the Voidless Realm expert was caught off guard, the Voidless Realm expert might have died on the spot. Walala. Fengqi's delicate body slowly rose into the air, and a strong aura fluctuated around her. That beautiful face, coupled with the boundless poisonous gas and black light, made her look like a demon that controlled the world's poison. It was incomparably demonic. Chi. Under Sui's astonished gaze, he saw the strands of black mist and a large amount of black light beginning to converge into her body. Like 100 rivers returning to the sea, they finally hid inside her body. This process was very fast, and it only lasted for the time it took to brew a cup of tea before it ended. Just when everything was done, a black bead slowly rose from her Baihui acupoint on top of Fengqi's head. It stopped 3 feet above her head and slowly rotated. On this black pearl, a strange light was emitted, causing Sui to feel a trace of pain in his eyes when he took a glance at it. Under Sui's observation, he was even more shocked to discover that there were actually remnant souls coming from outside the mysterious space. These remnant souls let out miserable howls and struggled with all their might to escape. However, that black pearl seemed to have a huge suction force that directly pulled them into the pearl. Following that, all of the howls disappeared. Huff! When all of these remnant souls disappeared, Fengqi's face became a little rosy, and she lightly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Immediately after, that pearl once again drilled into her Baihui acupoint bit by bit and disappeared. Sui, Fengqi, opened her eyes and called out happily. The first thing she saw was a stunned Sui. You've broken through 3rd level Yuan Jun stage. Sui was astonished. Fengqi was already at 3rd level Yuan Jun stage, and she had only cultivated for a short period of time. If this news were to spread, who knew how many people would be shocked? Yes, but I'm still far from you. Fengqi stuck out her tongue. It was obvious that she was in a good mood. Sui was shocked. He only felt that this girl's cultivation speed was too fast. However, he was also clear that Fengqi had the Calamity Chi soul in her body. It was activated by the cultivation method of his brother, Merciless West, which allowed her to cultivate with twice the result with half the effort. In addition, the Heaven Fiend's soul fusion elixir from before had given her unimaginable benefits. Therefore, it was not surprising that she had broken through to 3rd level Yuanjin stage. Fengqi, what was that pearl you had just now? It seems to be able to devour remnant souls. Sui was curious and could not help but ask. From that pearl, just now, Sui sensed a very strange aura that made him fearful. That pearl, just now, was a treasure obtained after refining the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion Elixir. Its main body is the Heaven Fiend Poisonous Spider's monster core. It can devour remnant souls and transform the remnant soul's power for its own use. Chapter 1164. Soul Cultivating Pearl. Su-Yi began to ponder. Previously, his brother, Merciless West, said that if Feng-Chi was lucky, she could transform the Heaven Fiend Soul Fusion Pill into a treasure. Now that he thought about it, it was probably the Soul Cultivating Pearl. You're saying that the Soul Cultivating Pearl could devour remnant souls. Does that mean it's constantly accumulating the remnant soul's power and then unleashing it in future battles to fight against enemies? Su-Yi asked. That's right. Feng-Chi smiled gently and said, I can continuously refine the Soul Cultivating Pearl. The more remnant souls it devours, the more powerful it will become. I feel that if I refine the Soul Cultivating Pearl to the limit of my current cultivation, I should be able to fight against a powerhouse of level 7 or level 8 Yuan-Zhun realm. Su-Yi was shocked once again. The Soul Cultivating Pearl was so terrifying that it could greatly increase Feng-Chi's strength. It was definitely a terrifying weapon. Fighting across 4 or 5 levels was not something an ordinary person could do. Normally, only a few of the most outstanding disciples cultivated by the various major forces had such ability. In addition, Su-Yi could also imagine that as Feng-Chi's cultivation became more profound, the Soul Cultivating Pearl's potential would also be unlocked. Our Bawang Sect's third soul controller. After the shock, Su-Yi became happy. Feng-Chi's strength was already quite good. The Bawang Sect's third soul controller would also grow rapidly. He was looking forward to it. Once Feng-Chi became a true powerhouse, she would definitely be a great help. Moreover, Su-Yi knew that Feng-Chi, a soul controller, was not the same as ordinary soul controllers. For example, he and his brother, Merciless West, would normally constantly increase their soul power and vitality cultivation. From there, they would have more power to mobilize remnant souls to fight against their enemies. However, Feng-Chi was special. She could mobilize remnant souls to fight, but at the same time, her strongest weapon was the Soul Cultivating Pearl. A treasure that had been refined for a long time, was much more powerful than a remnant soul that could be mobilized temporarily. In addition, Feng-Chi's Calamity Chi and Poison Soul's characteristics meant that her soul power could be used to launch more terrifying attacks that would make it difficult for the enemy's soul to withstand. Where did Master go? Why didn't I see him? Feng-Chi suddenly looked at Su-Yi in confusion and asked. Of course, Su-Yi knew that she was referring to his brother, Merciless West. Huh? Su-Yi smiled and said, I wonder if Big Brother is having a good time now. The corner of his mouth curled up. He really wanted to know what was the situation between his big brother, Shi Wuqing, and Impermanence Fairy. He was not worried at all. He only felt that this matter would not develop in a bad direction. Let's go out. Big Brother should be back soon, Su-Yi said. Then, he took Feng-Chi and left the mysterious space. Merciless West had not returned yet, and Su-Yi had no intention of looking for him. With his brother's cultivation, there was no one in this area who could pose a threat to him. At Su-Yi's request, Feng-Chi demonstrated her current ability. A ray of black light rushed out from between her eyebrows and landed directly on a small vine in a pile of bushes. The vine instantly withered and turned into powder under the poison. Such precise control. Compared to before, it's an earth-shattering change. Su-Yi was full of praise. When he first met Feng-Chi, she could not control the Calamity Chi and Poison Soul at all. Every time it flared up, outsiders would have to stay far away from her, and the surrounding flowers and trees would be affected. Moreover, when the poison flared up, Feng-Chi would faint as she could not withstand the poison's power. But now, she could control this power so exquisitely and use it for herself. It was a complete metamorphosis. Su-Yi was happy for her. This pure and kind girl was finally not as sentimental as before. Su Yi cultivated in the back mountain for a while. He had never stopped cultivating the art of driving heaven, the art of origin, and the heavenly fey ancient scripture. I still don't have enough soul controller techniques. If I have time, I should make a trip to the Palace of Driving Heaven. There should be quite a lot of good stuff there. Su Yi thought to himself. He felt that he should make time to visit the Palace of Driving Heaven's headquarters. Back then, Palace Lord Ge strongly urged him to do a thorough examination, but he never had a good opportunity. Although Merciless West's cultivation was powerful, he was an itinerant cultivator after all. He had too few resources at his disposal, far inferior to the Palace of Driving Heaven. Su Yi felt that he could bring Feng Qi along to see what kind of soul quality she had with the Calamity Qi and Poison Soul. I wonder how Grandpa and the others are doing. Thinking of the Palace of Driving Heaven, Su Yi could not help but think of his grandfather and the rest of the Su family. The life-and-death battle at the Sacred Martial Assembly had caused him to completely fall out with the Sacred Mountain. As a precaution, Su Yi asked Palace Lord Gyue and the others to move the Su family away to avoid being attacked by the Sacred Mountain. It would be almost a year soon. Su Yi did not receive any news from the Su family, so he did not know how they were doing now. He was most concerned about his grandfather, Su Yuntian. Fortunately, the old man's injuries had healed, so there was no need to worry about him. Speaking of which, this was all thanks to Elder Su of Suruga. In addition, the Xinjiang Gate's friendship was extremely deep. Thinking of these things, Su Yi's heart was filled with boundless longing. All the old friends he met along the way made him miss them very much. There's also Wan and Fatty Wong. I hope they're fine. Second bro, third bro, where are you now? There's also Su Tianke. Many figures flashed through Su Yi's mind. Su Tianke, Su Chun, Yin Lin, Su Wan and Wang Shangwu were the people Su Yi was most worried about. Until now, there was no news of them at all. He did not even know if they were alive or dead. Su Yi wanted to look for them, but the world was so big that he did not know where to start. Boss, what's wrong? Are you worried about second bro and the third bro? Handsome, Su had returned to the mine at some point. He landed on Su Yi's shoulder and said, "Don't worry, second bro and third bro are blessed by the heavens. They'll be fine. I hope all of them are fine. One day, us brothers will reunite and fight side by side again." Hearing Handsome Su's words, Su Yi's eyes flashed and he clenched his fists tightly. "We definitely will. With us brothers here, the Bawang sect will definitely rise. Anyone who stands in our way, even if they're gods or demons, will be killed." Handsome Su's eyes rippled with five-colored brilliance as he released an awe-inspiring pressure, causing the void to tremble. Su Yi nodded heavily. What he could do now was to make the Bawang sect's name even more famous in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean. Su Chun, Su Tianke, Su Wan and the others would know about it. Following such clues, those people would have a great chance of finding this place. At that time, all of them brothers would conquer the world together and sweep away all obstacles. Swoosh! Just as Su Yi and Handsome Su were talking, an old figure suddenly flew over from afar and landed in front of them. It was Merciless West. "Big bro, you're back." Su Yi couldn't help but smile when he saw his big brother come back safe and sound. "How was it? Did you have a good chat with Impermanence Fairy?" His heart was filled with gossip. He wanted to get to the bottom of it and find out the specific story between his big brother and Impermanence Fairy. However, Merciless West's face was very long at this time. He stared at Su Yi without moving, his eyes full of anger. Su Yi's hair stood on end when he was stared at like this, and a chill ran down his spine. "Big bro, why are you staring at me like this?" Su Yi couldn't stand it anymore and hurriedly asked. He wanted to ask where Impermanence Fairy had gone. Why was his big brother looking at him like this? "Little bastard, let me ask you, who is Xiao Chui?" Merciless West's eyes were as deep as water, and his voice was cold. Su Yi choked. How did he become a little bastard again? He helplessly spread out his hands and rolled his eyes. "I don't know who Xiao Chui is. You asked me, but who am I supposed to ask?" Su Yi's heart didn't waver. He really didn't know who Xiao Chui was because this person was made up by him. It was an existence that didn't exist. When Merciless West heard this, he was almost angered to death. He fiercely looked at Su Yi and said, "Good boy, you've learned how to trick me now, haven't you? You even tricked your big brother. Can you still be a little bit human? Huh?" He was really angry, and his words were almost roaring. Su Yi curled his lips and defended himself. "Big bro, this is your own trouble, and it has to involve me. If I didn't make up this Xiao Chui, I might have died in the hands of your old lover. Do you think I'm crazy for doing this in a hurry?" "You." Merciless West was angry, but he couldn't do anything to Su Yi. That woman was indeed difficult to deal with, and this boy was sharp enough to come up with this Xiao Chui. He wanted to divert Impermanence Fairy's attention so that he wouldn't suffer in her hands. In the end, this was Merciless West's own fault, and it was not Su Yi's turn to take the blame. "I've been helping you, boy. How dare you trick me like this?" Merciless West finally said bitterly, his face full of resentment. Su Yi had never seen such an expression on his face. He took out his wine gourd and took a big gulp, smiling bitterly. If you don't want to help him, then leave." At this moment, a cold snort was heard, and then a woman in her 40s wearing a palace dress descended from the sky. This woman's face was beautiful, and she exuded an absolute mature charm. However, there was a murderous aura between her eyebrows. It was Impermanence Fairy. Chapter 1165. Looking at this scene, Su Yi immediately understood what was going on. Merciless West and Wu Chang Fairy no longer had anything to do with each other. It was obvious that they were just fighting each other. It didn't seem like they were going to fight to the death at all. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Su Yi's eyes kept darting around as all kinds of speculations flashed through his mind. When Wu Chang Fairy first appeared, she had threatened to kill Merciless West. But now, she was acting like this. Something must have happened. "Little Han, stop fooling around." Merciless West immediately put on a smile and said to Wu Chang Fairy with a fawning look. Su Yi and Handsome Su's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, especially Handsome Su. He had just returned not long ago and was dumbfounded at this moment. "Boss, did Merciless West get into trouble outside?" Handsome Su asked softly. Although his voice was soft, Merciless West and Wu Chang Fairy heard him clearly with their cultivation. "Shut up, you little brat. Do you know what trouble is?" Merciless West immediately glared at him. Handsome Su pursed his lips and muttered, "You did something bad, but you don't let others talk about it." Seeing that Merciless West was about to go berserk again, Su Yi immediately tried to smooth things over. "Big brother, don't be angry. As long as the two of you are fine, everything is fine." Merciless West snorted coldly and glared at Su Yi and Handsome Su. Then, he stopped pursuing the so-called Little Chui matter. "Senior, you just said that you want to join the Bawang sect. Is that true?" Suddenly, Su Yi looked at Wu Chang Fairy and said excitedly, "If that's the case, then Senior will be the Bawang sect's high priest from now on. Your status will be respected. This matter is settled. After some time, when the Bawang sect stabilizes, we will hold the sect entrance ceremony for Senior." He said hurriedly, afraid that Impermanence Fairy would go back on her word. What a joke. This was an existence at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. His strength was comparable to the sect master of a second-rate force in the Chaos region. If such a strong person could stay in the Bawang sect, it would be something that he could not wish for. Wu Chang Fairy immediately rolled her eyes at Su Yi and said, "Kid, you really know how to play along. I just said that if this old bastard doesn't help you, I will." Before she could finish her sentence, Su Yi realized that something was wrong. She was really going back on her word. He couldn't help but interrupt Impermanence Fairy, pretending to be confused. "Senior Impermanence Fairy, since we're all members of the Bawang sect, we should get to know each other better. Speaking of which, Senior, are you 28 years old this year? When you met Big Brother, weren't you only 7 or 8 years old?" He blinked and looked at Merciless West, then at Impermanence Fairy, pretending to be surprised. Hearing this, Impermanence Fairy immediately smiled, and the murderous aura in her eyes dissipated. "Kid, your mouth is really sweet, unlike a certain old bastard who only knows how to talk big." Impermanence Fairy suddenly pursed her lips and smiled. She looked mature and charming, but at the same time, she looked a little shy. "Look, Big Brother is mesmerized." Handsome Sue suddenly shouted. "Little Handsome, do you think I won't stew you?" Merciless West shouted with a straight face. Sue laughed. He had never seen Big Brother Merciless West as embarrassed as he was today. This Impermanence Fairy seemed to be Big Brother's nemesis. At this time, Impermanence Fairy spoke again. "Kid, don't think that you can persuade me to stay in the Bawang sect with just a few words. The top 10 forces in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea all want me to join, but I don't even care about them. You're just a small Bawang sect, so don't expect me to stay here." Sui listened and did not speak. He knew that Impermanence Fairy was telling the truth. With her cultivation, she would be valued no matter where she went. Even if it was the 1 mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 factions, she would be treated as a guest of honor. Currently, there was nothing in the Bawang sect that could attract her, except for Big Brother Merciless West. After Impermanence Fairy finished speaking, she immediately flew away and left the place. However, Sue, and the others could sense that she had not left the range of the mine. "Big Brother, this," Sue immediately looked at Merciless West helplessly. "Kid, don't look at me like that. We haven't settled our score yet." Merciless West had nowhere to vent her anger. She rolled her eyes one after another, and there was no trace of a pleasant expression on her face. Sue chuckled and said, "Big Brother, don't worry. As long as you have a way to make Impermanence Fairy stay in the Bawang sect, you can leave this matter to me. Okay?" He winked at Merciless West, still thinking about how to make Impermanence Fairy stay. "Do you really want her to stay?" Merciless West slowly calmed down and asked doubtfully. "Big Brother, don't look down on me because I'm young. I can still see these things very clearly. I can tell that your relationship with Impermanence Fairy is definitely not ordinary. How about you help me make her stay, and I'll help you put in a good word in front of her?" Sui said with a smile. He had lived 2 lives. Although he was a virgin in both lives, he had seen this kind of thing many times in the television dramas of his previous life. The relationship between Big Brother and Impermanence Fairy was definitely a love-hate type of drama. "You can think of a way to deal with this yourself," Merciless West said with a glare. Sui was silent for a while. With Big Brother's words, he was finally relieved. After all, he did not know Impermanence Fairy at all. Since Big Brother asked him to think of a way, it meant that this person could be kept and would not harm the Bawang sect. At this time, Big Brother was still angry with him. Sui did not need to continue arguing with him. He would discuss it with Big Brother after he calmed down. "My lord." At this time, Feng Chi'er walked over from afar. She stood opposite Merciless West and bowed respectfully. "You're already out?" Merciless West's expression finally relaxed. He could not help but ask, "How was it? Did you successfully refine the innate fiend soul fusion pearl? Is that treasure complete?" Feng Chi'er knew what he was asking and immediately released the soul-nurturing pearl. In an instant, a gloomy aura swept through the area, and the wails of resentful spirits drifted. "Very good." Merciless West's face showed a gratified smile. Seeing Feng Chi'er's performance, his gloominess from before was swept away. Back then, he saw Feng Chi'er's physique and talent at first glance and carefully nurtured her for a long time. Now that she finally had such great results, he was naturally overjoyed. "Everything that Feng Chi'er has is thanks to you, my lord. Without you, Feng Chi'er might be dead by now," Feng Chi'er said. Merciless West shook his head and said, "All of this is the result of your own efforts. I only provided you with some opportunities. If it weren't for your strong will and strong mind, you wouldn't have been able to control the poison soul power in the first stage and would have died. If you really want to repay me, continue to work hard in your cultivation and become a powerhouse in this world. Feng Chi'er will remember your teachings, my lord." Feng Chi'er said respectfully as she kept the soul-nurturing pearl. Hearing these words, Suyi's brows furrowed slightly. Feng Qi'er still called Merciless West my lord, until now. Perhaps she knew that her brother wanted to take her in as a disciple, but the condition of letting go of the Feng family village was for her to serve her brother and herself. The reason why he didn't directly take her in as a disciple was to prevent Feng Qi'er from only thinking about those heartless people in the Feng family village and not having the heart to cultivate. That was why he came up with such a method. Now that such a long time had passed, Su Yi felt that Feng Qi'er still had an obsession in her heart and still regarded herself as a maidservant. It was just that this maidservant wanted to live a little longer, so she had to work hard in her cultivation. I'll find a chance to remind her in the future. Su Yi thought to himself. He felt that there were some things that he should tell Feng Qi'er clearly. Since it wasn't convenient for his brother, Merciless West, to say it directly, he would do it himself. With the arrival of Feng Qi'er, the atmosphere between Su Yi, Handsome Su, and Merciless West finally changed. They chatted for a long time, and Su Yi finally found out from his brother, Merciless West, that Impermanence Fairy's real name was Yu Qiuhan, and that she was also an itinerant cultivator. However, Impermanence Fairy, Yu Qiuhan's cultivation had always been higher than Merciless West's. After so many years, she was already at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, while his brother had just broken through to the 8th level of the Origin Emperor realm not long ago. Su Yi was very surprised. He felt that his brother, Merciless West, definitely wasn't like what he looked like now when he was young. Perhaps he was also a romantic. Otherwise, why would Impermanence Fairy fall for him? Or perhaps his brother had used some special means. However, Merciless West wouldn't admit it even if he was beaten to death. He also didn't tell Su Yi too many details. He only told him that something did happen between the two of them, but it was complicated and couldn't be explained in a few words. Su Yi also didn't ask too much. After all, this was a historical issue left behind by the older generation. He didn't need to get too involved. Anyway, Impermanence Fairy, Yu Qiuhan, was temporarily staying in the Bawang sect. If necessary, Su Yi felt that he could matchmake them more. Sectmaster, good news. Great news. Suddenly, an ecstatic shout came from afar. A skinny old man quickly flew over. Why are you so excited, Elder Wang? Su Yi raised his eyebrows. The person who flew over was Wang Zhengquan. He was in charge of all the Origin Stones mined in the mine. Sectmaster, 2 lords. After seeing Su Yi, Merciless West, and Su Shuai, Wang Zhengquan tried his best to contain his excitement. He eagerly said, 3-star Origin Stones. We have already dug out a large amount of 3-star Origin Stones. 3-star Origin Stones. Su Yi, Merciless West, and the others' eyes lit up. They had finally dug out 3-star Origin Stones from a mine. These Origin Stones were different from ordinary stones. They were very rare in normal transactions. Chapter 1166. It's not just 3-star essence stones. Seeing that Su Yi and the others were happy but not too excited, Wang Zhengquan quickly said, Sectmaster, the deeper we dig, the better the quality of the 3-star essence stones. So I'm very sure that there will definitely be 4-star essence stones below. 4-star essence stones. Su Yi, Little Handsome Su, and Merciless West looked at each other, and they all saw the horror in each other's eyes. If it was 4-star essence stones, then it would really be a big deal. A 4-star essence stone was equivalent to 1 million 1-star essence stones. If they could dig out hundreds of thousands of essence stones, then the overall value would definitely exceed the value of 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star essence stones in the mine. The most important thing was that the higher the grade of essence stones, the rarer they were. If used for cultivation, the effect would be much better. However, Su Yi only dared to think about this number. If it was true, it would be a bit too scary. The specific amount of reserves is still uncertain, but the amount should be a lot. That girl Nangong arranged for people to mine in full swing. It won't be long before there will be a rough result. From the moment Wang Zhengquan appeared until now, his mouth had been grinning and had not closed. It could be seen how excited he was. Very good. Speed up the mining. Su Yi nodded and said, while suppressing the excitement in his heart. He had never seen a 4-star essence stone before. He did not expect that it would appear in this mine. Nangong Ningyue was really his lucky star. He saved them casually and actually brought such a huge wealth. These vitality stones would become the foundation of the Overlord sect and could be used to nurture many powerful cultivators. By the way, how long will it take for the mine to finish mining? Suddenly, Su Yi asked Wang Zhengquan. According to Su Yi's understanding, a normal primordial stone mine would require different amounts of time depending on the amount of primordial stones stored. But the mineral reserves that a general third-rate force could grasp, with sufficient manpower, would take about 1 month to 5 or 6 months. Now, the Boang sect had been mining for almost 3 months, and they were probably halfway there. Reporting to the sect master, this mine's reserves are very rich. I estimate that it will take about 3 months to completely mine it. Wang Zhengquan said. This time was similar to what Su Yi had expected, indicating that this mineral deposit was extremely rich. Most importantly, the grade of the primeval stones inside was high enough. All right, I got it. I'll leave this matter to you. When the mining is over, everyone will be rewarded according to their contributions. Su Yi nodded and said to Wang Zhengquan, Yes, sect master. Wang Zhengquan was overjoyed. Hearing the news that he was about to mine a 4-star essence stone, Su Yi's mood immediately improved. He even personally went to the mine to see what a 4-star primordial stone looked like. Now, there were more than 3,000 miners in the Bawang sect. It was quite a large scale, and their mining speed could keep up. Among them, the people of the Heavenly Spider sect accounted for more than half, and there were even a few Origin Emperor realm experts. In addition, the few Origin Emperors of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were also thrown into the mine as miners, which made them feel very aggrieved. However, under the ferocious might of the Bawang sect, they had no choice but to do this kind of dirty and tiring work. The rogue miners who were recruited here were all full of enthusiasm because they had received their own primeval stones in the past few months, which was also their wages. The Bawang sect was not a black kiln, and its way of doing things was much better than some large forces. Looking at the orderly manner of everything, Su Yi was very satisfied and admired Nangong Ningyue's ability. Master, something bad has happened. However, just as Su Yi was in a good mood, the Green Emperor suddenly barged into the mine in a hurry. What happened? Su Yi instinctively sensed that something was wrong and couldn't help but ask with a frown. Little Marshal found the elder of the Xianjian sect outside. Seeing that he was seriously injured, he directly brought him back. Master, quickly go and take a look. The Green Emperor hurriedly said. Elder Nian. Su Yi was shocked. Didn't Elder Nian appear with Ji Han Nua before to stop Impermanence Fairy and save him? However, Elder Nian clearly knew that Impermanence Fairy was not to be trifled with. He also understood her relationship with Merciless West. He knew that Su Yi would be fine, so he tactfully left with Ji Han Noa. Why would he appear near the Bawang sect's mine at this time and be seriously injured? Su Yi didn't think too much and rushed out of the mine. Is Elder Nian alone? Where's Miss Han Noa? On the way, he asked the Green Emperor again. Only Elder Nian alone. I didn't see Miss Ji. Little Marshal is here. When he came back, he looked like he was dying. Merciless West is treating him, but we don't know the details yet. The Green Emperor said. Su Yi's face suddenly became gloomy. Needless to say, something must have happened to Ji Han Noa. While they were talking, Su Yi and the Green Emperor had already rushed into the cave hall. An old man was sitting on a small couch covered in blood. Merciless West was behind him, and waves of vigorous vitality were constantly flowing into the old man's body. Around him were Yang Ming, Yin Ming, the devouring spirit emperor, and little Marshal Su. Puffed. Suddenly, the old man spat out a mouthful of blood. His face suddenly became as pale as paper, and he looked dispirited. However, this mouthful of blood made the old man's expression a lot more relaxed. He slowly opened his eyes and looked around. He has already taken the elixir, and his life is no longer in danger. However, his injuries still need some time to heal. Merciless West got down from the couch and said aloud, Elder Nien, what happened? How did you get injured so badly? Also, where's Miss Han Noa? Wasn't she with you? Su Yi quickly walked to the old man on the couch and asked anxiously. Sect Master Su. Seeing Su Yi appear and the many experts of the Bawang sect present, Elder Nien couldn't help but tremble and said, Sect Master Su, please go and save Miss Ji. She was taken away by the people of the Green Sanctuary sect. Elder Nien, don't worry. Tell me what happened. Su Yi tried to calm his mind and asked again calmly. His eyes were fixed on Elder Nien without the slightest hint of emotion. Elder Nien seemed to be affected by Su Yi's state. He took a deep breath and said, You were taken away by Impermanence Fairy. I know about her relationship with Merciless West and felt that Impermanence Fairy wouldn't really hurt you. Therefore, I took Miss Ji and left. After that, Miss Ji was still worried and wanted to come to the Bawang sect. She would only be relieved when she saw that you were fine. Therefore, after I made arrangements for the other disciples of the Shinjin sect, I took Miss Ji and came to the Bawang sects or mine. However, on the way, we suddenly met the people of the Green Sanctuary sect. There were 2 Origin Emperor Realm experts among them. One of them was even at the 6th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. I wasn't their match and was injured. Miss Ji was also captured by them. I wanted to fight again, but Miss Ji shouted for me to come to the Bawang sect to find Sect Master Su. The people of the Green Sanctuary sect didn't want to let me go and chase me all the way. I used all my strength and barely managed to shake them off. Su Yi only knew what had happened after he heard the story. Kid, I'm afraid there's something fishy about this. After the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect were destroyed one after another, the Green Sanctuary sect probably couldn't wait to hide. They actually dared to take the initiative to create trouble. This shows that they have nothing to fear. Merciless West frowned and said after thinking for a while. The others nodded slightly, as they felt that what she said made sense. Not to mention the Bawang sect, the Xinjian sect, and the Liuhe sect were enough to deal with the Green Sanctuary sect. However, the 2 sects were busy managing the new cities and didn't have the time to care about the Green Sanctuary sect. Otherwise, they would have thought of ways to eliminate the Green Sanctuary sect. Therefore, the Green Sanctuary sect definitely had something to rely on for their strange actions at this time. Sect Master Su, you must go and save Miss Ji. Elder Nien looked at Su Yi with a pleading gaze. He also understood that what Merciless West said could be true. There might be some kind of conspiracy behind this. Elder Nien still hoped that Su Yi would help. He could naturally see that Miss Ji had deep feelings for this young man. However, he didn't know what Su Yi was thinking and whether he would help Miss Ji. Elder Nien, you stay here and recover. The Green Sanctuary sect, right? If they dare to touch a single finger of Miss Han Nua's, I'll make them beg for death. Su Yi kept his voice calm as he spoke to Elder Nien. As he spoke, he slowly turned around and walked out of the main hall. The moment he turned around, boundless murderous aura shot out from Su Yi's eyes. There was a red glow in his eyes, as if they contained blood. A bone-piercing chill suddenly descended, causing the air in the main hall to turn cold. Elder Nien, who was sitting cross-legged on the couch, stiffened under such an aura. He only recovered when Su Yi walked out of the main hall. Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and Devouring Spirit Emperor, follow me to the Green Sanctuary sect. Also, immediately gather the other savage beasts. Today, I'm going to raise the Green Sanctuary mountain to the ground. Su Yi immediately flew into the sky. The flaming winged devilish tiger was already prepared and flew to Su Yi's feet. Yes, master. The beast emperors immediately flew into the sky and stood beside Su Yi. The silver cloud leopard, scarlet wind black-eyed demonic monkey, and the other savage beasts directly flew out of the mine and charged into the boundless forest. They let out a long howl and began to gather more savage beasts. Boss, I'll go with you. Su Xiaoshui flew to Su Yi's shoulder and said in a deep voice, Big brother, I'll leave the mine to you. Su Yi turned his head and looked down at Merciless West. Kid, don't worry. With the Leaf Fire Mystic Sun Realm, there's no need to worry about the mine. Merciless West nodded and said to Sui. Sui nodded silently. He then waved his arm and shouted, "Let's go." Chapter 1167. Under Su Yi's lead, several figures set off from the Bawang sect's mine. They rushed out with a murderous aura. More and more barbaric beasts were summoned, and a series of low growls could be heard throughout the forest. Standing on the back of the flaming winged demonic tiger, Su Yi clenched his fists tightly. His face was terrifyingly cold. Ji Hanao was worried about him, so she asked the elders to come to the Bawang sect. That was why she was kidnapped by the people of the Green Sanctuary sect. Unknowingly, a terrifying anger burned in the young man's heart. If anything happens to Miss Hanao, I'll make everyone in the Green Sanctuary sect regret being born. Su Yi's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he muttered to himself. The flaming-winged demonic tiger was very fast. A flying savage beast of the demon void realm was much faster than he could travel on his own. However, Su Yi could not wait any longer. Not long after, the Green Emperor led them straight to the Green Sanctuary sect. Su Yi, Su Xiaoshui, the Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and the Devouring Spirit Emperor all released a terrifying aura that spread out in the void. Wherever it passed, whether it was the human race or the beast race, everyone was alarmed. So many Emperor Realm experts are on the move. Did something big happen again? A warrior looked up at the sky and asked in a daze. It seems to be the aura of a beast emperor. It's too scary. Since when were there so many powerful beast emperors around? Some people sensed the aura of the Green Emperor and the others and were shocked. The Bawang sect. It must be the Bawang sect. Only the Bawang sect can gather so many beast emperors at the same time and brazenly barge into human territory. Many people quickly guessed this because they knew that the only person who could gather so many beast emperors was the Bawang sect. The Bawang sect's people are on the move again. Is that young man going to cause a big commotion again? Everyone recalled what had happened a few months ago. Many emperors from the Bawang sect had appeared. At the same time, countless savage beasts had set off a terrifying beast tide. They had directly overturned the 7-star sword school and the Gimdeo sect. And this time, looking at how aggressive these beast emperors were, it was obvious that something big was about to happen. With this thought in mind, many people began to chase in the direction of the group of people, wanting to inquire about the situation. What was most shocking was that less than half a day after the beast emperors left, another large group of beast tribes moved out and swept through the forest. This time, there wasn't a terrifying beast tide that covered the sky and covered the earth. The number of barbarian beasts was reduced by more than half. However, the crowd was even more shocked to find that these beasts were even more orderly than before. At the same time, their overall strength was even more powerful. Wherever they passed, no matter which force it was, they all retreated. The Green Sanctuary sect was located in the Green Sanctuary mountain range. It was adjacent to the territory of the Xianjian sect, the Liuhe sect, and the original 7-star sword school. In the main hall of the sect, several people from the Green Sanctuary sect were seated. The leader of the group was the sect master of the Green Sanctuary sect, Jiang Zikan. In addition, there were a few Origin Emperor Realm elders. Sect master, we captured that girl. We originally wanted to deal with the Xianjian sect and the Liuhe sect first. We didn't expect that we would alarm the Bawang sect first. Will there be any problems this time? An old man sat below and looked at Jiang Zikan as he asked worriedly. The reason why they attacked Jihanua halfway was precisely because they wanted to deal with the Xianjian sect and then attack the Liuhe sect. As for the Bawang sect, it was the second step of the plan. However, unexpectedly at the last moment, the girl actually shouted loudly, asking the old man surnamed Nian to inform the Bawang sect. Moreover, the old man really did his best to escape successfully. This is also something that I did not expect. However, I have already informed the experts of the Jade Tripod sect. They should have better arrangements. Jiang Zikan sat at the head of the table and said with a frown, the Green Sanctuary sect had been living a very aggrieved life recently. Ever since the end of the Alliance Conference, they had not felt comfortable at all. The sudden rise of the small Bawang sect had caused the forces in their area to be extremely terrified, especially when the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect had been destroyed one after another with lightning speed. It had caught them off guard. As a result, the only true third-rate forces in the vicinity were the Green Sanctuary sect, the Xinjian sect, the Liuhe sect, and the Heavenly Spider sect, which was slightly further away. However, they did not expect that the Heavenly Spider sect would also be wiped out not long after. The person who attacked was still Su-yi. Therefore, the Green Sanctuary sect had no choice but to make plans early. They were no match for the Bawang sect at all. As long as Su-yi thought of them, the Green Sanctuary sect would probably not be able to escape destruction and follow in the footsteps of the Seven-Star Sword School and the Gimdeo sect. Therefore, they could only ask for help from the Jade Tripod sect. What was even more unexpected was that the Jade Tripod sect actually agreed without the slightest intention of refusing. This made Jiang Zikin feel flattered. Later on, Jiang Zikin vaguely knew that the Jade Tripod sect had also suffered at the hands of the Bawang sect and was preparing to attack them. The Bawang sect is really too strong. Their strength can be ranked as a second-rate force. The elder who spoke earlier sighed. His heart was filled with endless shock. However, he also knew that the Bawang sect was ranked as a second-rate force, and it was also the weakest second-rate force. Compared to those forces with deep foundations, it was still far inferior. How's that little girl? She must be locked up well. There must not be any accidents. Suddenly, Jiang Zikin looked down at the main hall and said in a deep voice, "It seems that Ji Tianfu's daughter has an unusual relationship with Su-yi. If that's the case, that little bastard will probably rush over to rescue her. Since that's the case, then this is our opportunity. With the help of the Jade Tripod sect, we might be able to completely eradicate the Bawang sect this time. As for the Xinjian sect and the Liuhe sect, there's nothing to worry about. Sect Master, everything has been arranged. That girl is imprisoned in the side hall. There's an Essence Void Realm cultivator guarding her. She'll be fine." Among the several figures, another old figure cupped his hands and said respectfully to Jiang Zikin. They all understood this logic. If there was really a deep relationship between Su-yi and that girl, then they might be able to make good use of it this time. Just as these people were discussing, a series of lights and shadows flashed. In an instant, more than 10 powerful figures suddenly rushed into the main hall. It was very sudden. When Jiang Zikin and the others saw this scene, their hearts immediately trembled. They quickly stood up and bowed respectfully to the people who came. "Greetings, lords." As the master of a sect, Jiang Zikin looked at these people who had suddenly appeared with a respectful expression. He did not dare to show the slightest bit of negligence. It was because these people were all experts of the Jade Tripod sect. If Su-yi was here, he would definitely recognize one of these people. It was the strongest expert of the younger generation of the Jade Tripod sect, Lu Zhua. They had interacted with each other before. Yes, the leader of the group was an old man with a white face and no beard. After a soft yes, he walked to Jiang Zikin's seat and sat down. Unknowingly, this old man's entire body emitted a strange power, causing the surrounding space to be slightly affected. Even Jiang Zikin, who was at the high level of the Origin Emperor realm, felt a little absent-minded under the influence of this strange power. He only felt that the area around the old man was a dangerous, forbidden area. This kind of power and aura was extremely similar to the one emitted by the sect master of the Heavenly Dipper sect, Hong Qianlong, outside the Myriad Spirits secret realm. A half-step Origin ancestor realm expert. Jiang Zikin noticed this terrifying fact and could not help but feel his heart beat rapidly. The Jade Tripod sect actually sent out such an expert. This was really shocking. However, it was also understandable. After all, there was a merciless West in the Bawang sect. Without a half-step Origin ancestor realm to restrain them, it was impossible to defeat them unless a true Origin ancestor realm expert appeared. However, as the strongest foundation of a second-rate force, Such an expert was in seclusion all year round. How could he appear at will? Normally, unless they encountered a major event that was equivalent to the destruction of their sect, they would not ask too much and would only focus on cultivating. This is our third elder. He is a half-step origin ancestor realm expert and has just come out of seclusion. These two are Elder Yin and Elder Li. They are both at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Just as Jiang Zikin and the people of the Green Sanctuary sect were panicking, a person from the Jade Tripod sect spoke up and pointed at the old man at the head of the table. In addition, there were two old men who looked to be at least in their 70s. His words also made everyone from the Green Sanctuary sect suck in a breath of cold air. A half-step Yuan ancestor realm and two 9th level Yuan emperors. Such a force was truly frightening. From this, it could be seen that the Jade Tripod sect attached great importance to the Bawang sect this time. Not only that, but after the introduction of that person just now, they knew that the dozen or so experts of the Jade Tripod sect were at least at the 5th or 6th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Their strength was incomparably terrifying. This was a terrifying force. Lu Jua was the only one who had just reached the Origin Void realm. Lords, I'm afraid that the Bawang sect is already on the way to our Green Sanctuary sect. I wonder what arrangements you have and what orders you have. Jiang Zikin respectfully bowed to the old man at the head of the table and asked softly. However, after the half-step Origin Ancestor realm old man sat down, he closed his eyes and entered a state of sleep, as if he didn't want to pay attention to the outside world at all. Jiang Zikin was a little embarrassed for a moment, but he didn't dare to say anything, afraid that he would disturb the person at the head of the table. Sect Master Jiang, don't worry. With our Jade Tripod sect around, why should we be afraid of the Bawang sect? Among the group of Origin Emperor realm experts, the person who had introduced them earlier said indifferently that Bawang sect has merciless West and the help of the illusory spirit world. It was originally a problem to deal with them, but this time, you've inadvertently done something right. Elder gone. Jiang Zikin was puzzled when he heard that. Chapter 1168. The Jade Tripod sect's Origin Emperor realm expert called Elder Gon emitted a strong, killing intent. After hearing his explanation, Jiang Zikin roughly understood what he meant. The Bawang sect's strength was now gathered on that mine. Merciless West must have set up the illusory spirit world there. In this way, if they wanted to deal with them, it would be extremely troublesome. Now that they had captured Jihanua and inadvertently attracted the Bawang sect to come and save her, things would be different. After walking out of the mine, the Bawang sect would lose the huge support of the illusory spirit world. If Merciless West comes personally, then leave him here with us. If he doesn't come, the rest of the Bawang sect will definitely die. At the same time, the Bawang sect's mine will definitely not have more experts guarding it. It will be even easier to take it down. Elder Gon revealed a cold smile. He only felt that as long as the Bawang sect dared to make a move, they would fall into a dead end. Whether Merciless West came or not, they would fall into a dead end. Jiang Zikin deeply agreed with this. There were only a few Origin Emperor realm experts that the Bawang sect knew. 3 Beast Emperors, 1 Origin Emperor realm expert, and the sole controller, Merciless West. As for Su, E, and the others, they were not considered much combat strength in front of Origin Emperor realm experts. Such strength was absolutely crushing to ordinary third-rate forces, but in the eyes of the Jade Tripod sect, it was completely not enough. One had to know that there were already more than a dozen Origin Emperor realm experts in the Jade Tripod sect, and they were all above the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Among them, 2 were at the 9th level, and 1 was at the half-step Origin Ancestor realm. They were far stronger than the Bawang sect. Without the help of the illusory spirit world, how could the Bawang sect fight against them? Sir, if Merciless West doesn't come, it will be a huge problem. With him overseeing the mine, it will be quite difficult to take it down, Jiang Zikin said after some thought. It's just a Merciless West. Without any assistance, even if she has the Phantom World, she won't be able to unleash its full power. Moreover, our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect has also invited a mid-stage 4th grade soul controller. We'll rely on him to break through the Bawang sect's illusory soul world. Eldergon suddenly raised his head and said proudly. It was as if he was extremely confident in the soul controller. Middle fourth rank soul tamer. Jiang Zikin's eyes widened as he sucked in a mouthful of cold air. He was stunned. The Jade Tripod Alchemy clan had actually invited such an expert. This was truly shocking. I've heard that there's a soul controller who's been very active in the Chaos realm. Could it be him? An elder from the Green Sanctuary sect suddenly said with a face full of shock. Who? Jiang Zikin asked. It's that mid-stage 4th grade soul controller who's known as the Supreme Divine Soul. He's a powerful existence who once stirred up boundless waves in the Chaos realm. The elder of the Green Sanctuary sect said. Supreme Divine Soul. Lei Yunhe? Jiang Zikin was shocked. Many gazes in the hall looked at Eldergon of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Seeing him nod with a light smile, they confirmed this guess. For a moment, everyone in the Green Sanctuary sect was shocked on the spot. The status of a soul controller was high. This was a fact that everyone recognized. As for the Divine Soul Paragon, Lei Yunhe, he was also a famous figure. Everyone present had heard of his name. Nearly 100 years ago, Lei Yunhe had once caused a monstrous storm in the Chaos region, and even the 3 great first-rate forces had been alarmed. After the commotion subsided, this supreme divine soul also disappeared for no reason. No one knew where he went. Recently, he suddenly appeared in the Chaos realm again. Moreover, this time, he was actually invited by the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Thinking about it, they must have paid a huge price. If there's such a soul controller, our chances of dealing with the Bawang sect will be greatly increased. Jiang Zikin already had a plan in his heart. Although he would not be able to obtain any direct benefits after dealing with the Bawang sect, a huge enemy had been eliminated. A mid-stage 4th grade soul controller's cultivation should be around the 4th to 6th level of the Origin Emperor realm. Coupled with the soul controller's methods, it was even more terrifying. This supreme divine soul, Lei Yunhe, was probably not enough to deal with merciless West head-on. However, if he had the cooperation of a half-step Origin Ancestor Realm expert, it was not impossible to break through the illusory spirit world that he had set up. A small Bawang sect dares to attack our Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. They will definitely pay an absolute price. Killing intent once again surged in Eldergon's eyes as he said in a deep voice. The Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had previously sent Elder Zhou, Elder Jean, and the others to the Bawang sect. In addition, there were also Luo Jing and the Golden Spider of the Heavenly Spider sect. They wanted to obtain the mineral deposits and at the same time subdue the Bawang sect for their own use. However, they did not expect that a total of 8 Emperor Realm experts would be captured alive by the other party. Later on, the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect also used their own methods to inquire about it. They knew that the 6 Origin Emperor Realm elders of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had all been thrown into the mine to be miners. As for Luo Jing and the Golden Spider, their whereabouts were unknown. Perhaps they had already been killed. This made everyone in the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect furious. The sect master of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect even requested that the Bawang sect must be wiped out and not leave behind any trouble. This time, in order to deal with the Bawang sect, they had to rescue the 6 Origin Emperor Realm experts. In addition, they had to take down the Bawang sect's mine in one fell swoop. All the benefits that had fallen into the hands of the Bawang sect had to be spat out by Su Yi. In the main hall, everyone discussed some things again. Then, 2 elders of the Green Sanctuary sect left to investigate the situation. They were prepared to report the Bawang sect's movements to the people in the main hall at any time. Most importantly, they wanted to see if Merciless West was coming here. Sure enough, not long after, they received the news that Su Yi had arrived aggressively with a few beast emperors. However, Merciless West was not among them. Let's go directly to the Bawang sect. At the head of the main hall, The half-step origin ancestor realm old man who was resting with his eyes closed suddenly opened his eyes and said indifferently. His figure flashed, and he left the main hall. One of the other two ninth-level Origin Emperor realm experts followed behind him. In addition, there were two high-level Origin Emperors. Our J-Tripod sect still has 12 Origin Emperors here. Among them, Elder Lee is at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. As long as Merciless West doesn't come, Sue, E, and the others will definitely die today. Watching those people leave, Luju's eyes flickered as he muttered to himself coldly in the main hall. He knew very well that since Merciless West didn't come, the third Elder Yin, and the others didn't want to waste time here. They only wanted to go to the mine as soon as possible and settle the situation there quickly. Moreover, the Soul Controller, who was known as the Divine Soul Supreme, was waiting outside the Green Sanctuary sect. He would go to the Bawang Sex mine with the third Elder and the others. Next, there will be a great battle. Jiang Zikin was mentally prepared to welcome the arrival of Su, E, and the others. With more than 10 people from the Jade Tripod sect here, coupled with the strength of the Green Sanctuary sect itself, it wouldn't be difficult to kill them. The group of people sat quietly in the main hall. They didn't say anything else and just waited quietly. While the people from the two sects were waiting, Jihan was imprisoned in another side hall of the Green Sanctuary sect. The door of the side hall was tightly shut. The light was dim, and only a blurry outline could be seen. One could vaguely see Jihan sitting cross-legged on the ground in a corner with her eyes slightly closed. Her vitality was sealed, and she couldn't circulate it. At this moment, she could only be like a person without cultivation, and her movements were greatly restricted. Phew! Suddenly, Jihan exhaled softly. Her eyes opened, but they were filled with helplessness. I still can't break through the restriction. She had tried many times to break through the restriction, but the restriction set up by an Origin Emperor realm expert was not something she could shake at the moment. Although she was imprisoned, Jihan did not panic at all. All along, she had the ability to remain calm in the face of danger. She was constantly thinking of a way to escape. In fact, she knew very well that even if she really broke through the restriction, she would not be able to walk out of the hall. There are definitely experts guarding outside. Now that she was truly captured by the Green Sanctuary sect, it seemed that she could only rely on Su, E, or her father to save her. Creak. In the quiet hall, a small door at the side was suddenly pushed open. As some light shone in, the hall became a little brighter. The sound of footsteps rang out. Jihan tilted her head and saw a figure slowly walking in. Then, the door that was pushed open was closed again, and the hall was once again dark. A strange laughter came from the person's mouth. He kept walking towards Jihan, his footsteps neither fast nor slow. Jiangsu, I advise you to let me go. Otherwise, I can guarantee that you will die a terrible death. Jihan had already returned to her quiet sitting posture and said coldly. When that person stepped in, she had already seen clearly that the other party was the young sect master of the Green Sanctuary sect, Jiangsu. Jihan, you're really stubborn. At this point, you still dare to threaten me. Hearing Jihan's words, Jiangsu snorted coldly and said disdainfully, Are you waiting for that little bastard Su-E to save you? I'm not afraid to tell you that more than 10 experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect are currently in the Green Sanctuary sect. It's fine that Su-E doesn't dare to come, but he can temporarily save his life. If he dares to come, then he's courting death. Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Jihan's pretty face darkened. If the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect was here, then the situation would be very bad. Thinking of this, she could not help but start to worry for Su-E. Regret welled up in her heart, wondering if she should not have let Elder Yin look for him. Jihan, you never thought that you would fall into the hands of the Green Sanctuary sect in the end, right? And now, your value is not only to be used to deal with your father and the Xinjian sect, but also to threaten Su-E. This is really unexpected. Jihan sat cross-legged on the ground and did not move. Jiangsu walked a few steps around her and kept laughing coldly. Jihan Nuo did not reply. The Green Sanctuary sect and the Xinjian sect had always been at odds. After the Green Sanctuary sect's plan to instigate the Sea Dragon Gang to kidnap her failed, the two sects had reached a point where they would not rest until one of them was dead. There was nothing to say about this. Chapter 1169. Jiangsu, what are you doing? Jihanhua felt a sudden pain and shouted coldly. She raised her head and saw Jiangsu's eyes that were like a tiger's. In the darkness, there was an aggressive light. Hee. Jiangsu was still laughing in a weird manner. His expression could not be seen clearly in the dark hall. However, Chun Xiaobei could still hear him say, "After we are done with Xinjian faction and Great Conqueror sect, you will not be able to escape death. But before that, let this young master enjoy himself." He. At the same time, Jiangsu's other hand grabbed Jihanhua's arm and dragged her into his embrace. Jihanhua knew what he was trying to do. "Beast, get away from me!" Jihanhua shouted. All the power in her body exploded as she tried to break free from Jiangsu's claw. However, her yuan qi was sealed, and the power she could exert was no different from an ant to Jiangsu. His hands were like iron pliers as they tightly held Jihanhua's arm, and she was dragged to Jiangsu's side. I didn't expect you to be flirting with Su. I'm afraid you're no longer a virgin." Jiangsu sneered and ignored Jihanhua's weak resistance. Under the power in his body, he easily restrained the girl. He stretched out a hand, grabbed Jihanhua's lapel, and fiercely tugged. With a ripping sound, the young girl's dress at her waist was instantly torn open, revealing a long and slender gap. "Get away!" Jihanhua screamed. She could remain calm in the face of death, but at this moment, the girl's mind finally showed signs of not being able to accept it. If something bad were to happen here, she would rather die. He. Let's see how you can resist. Today, you can't escape from my palm. Jiangsu laughed weirdly. The more Jihanhua struggled, the more excited he became. An evil fire rose from his lower abdomen. Jiangsu did not want to wait any longer. He reached out his hand and grabbed Jihanhua's collar and pulled again. Rip! Jihanhua's clothes and skirt were completely torn apart, turning into two pieces of noodles. In the dim light, an exquisite body could be vaguely seen. On her body, only her undergarments were intact. "Stop it, you thief! I'll kill you!" Jihanhua screamed incessantly. Her limbs flailed about, using all her strength to break free. However, such power did not affect Jiangsu in the slightest. Instead, it aroused an even stronger desire to conquer. Jiangsu's eyes glowed red as he let out a low growl like a savage beast. He pounced towards Jihanhua. Jihanhua screamed. She could feel his body getting closer and closer. She was terrified. Imperceptibly, she began to circulate her sword technique, wanting to condense a sword ray to attack Jiangsu. Miraculously, a tyrannical and absolute power quickly swam within her body, as if it was the most powerful thing in the world. It passed through her meridians without any obstruction, and in an instant, it had completed a great cycle. The restriction set up by the Green Sanctuary sect's Origin Emperor Stage Elder was quickly broken by this power. In an instant, a surge of abundant qi gushed out like a flood from a dam. It roared from her qi sea and converged on her arm. Clang! For no reason, the clear sound of a sharp sword being unsheathed reverberated in the main hall, as if it was ringing in the depths of one's soul, causing one's spirit to be dazed. Such a sound startled Jiangsu and woke him up a little from his state of lust. Then, the main hall shone brightly, and a terrifying strange beast shadow appeared. Its body was huge, like a divine dragon's body, and it was releasing green water attribute light. This strange beast shadow had no horns on its head, but it was no different from a divine dragon in other places. As soon as he appeared, he rushed towards Jiangsu. Roar! With a terrifying roar, the strange beast opened its huge mouth and swallowed Jiangsu in an instant. Then, the strange beast continued to rush upwards, and after 50 feet, It turned into a sword light that penetrated the heavens and the earth and brazenly hit the dome of the main hall. Boom! With a loud sound, the entire main hall shook as if it was about to collapse. Under the attack of this terrifying power, the dome of the main hall was blown up and turned into dust. The other half of the wall was also completely blown up, and the scene was a mess. And that sword light rushed all the way to the ninth heaven, and in an instant, wind and thunder filled the sky, and the sound of the heavens resounded. Endless dark clouds rolled over, and strange phenomena appeared for a long time without stopping. This Jihan Nua sat paralyzed in the main hall in a daze. Her eyes were wide open, and she was still in a trance. She saw that after the strange beast rushed out, Jiangsu's figure was still there, but he was directly lying on the ground, and all his vitality had been completely lost, and there was not the slightest movement. This hornless dragon sword art, Jihan Nua did not recover for a long time, and she gradually understood what had happened. Just now, at the critical moment, she instinctively wanted to use the hornless dragon sword art to fight against Jiangsu. But what she did not expect was that this sword art was actually so powerful. She did not know how to use it, but it actually broke through all the shackles in her body, and her vitality instantly returned. Moreover, the hornless dragon sword art displayed a terrifying power, instantly killing Jiangsu and even tearing down the main hall. The hornless dragon sword art is not only a sword art, but also a secret method. At this time, Jihan Nua began to think of this layer. The hornless dragon sword art was something that she obtained in the secret realm of myriad spirits and Su after they were trapped in the illusory spirit boundary. At that time, besides feeling that the hornless dragon sword art was extremely extraordinary, Jihan also faintly felt that it was not just a sword art, but after studying it for a long time, she did not get any results. No one had expected that at this critical juncture, the hornless dragon sword art would suddenly unleash such a terrifying power. Jihan Nua's eyes suddenly welled up with tears. She was really scared just now, but in an instant, there was a glimmer of hope. It was really unexpected. In the blink of an eye, all of this happened in just a short moment. Jihan Nua did not have time to think. She tied up the torn clothes on her body, and her delicate body flashed out, directly stepping on the ruins of the main hall and soaring into the sky. The water attribute energy formed under her feet, and it lifted the young girl's body out of the main hall quickly. What happened? Outside, the Green Sanctuary sect's members reacted extremely quickly. Unless most of them were nervously preparing to deal with the Bawang sect, there was still a second-level Origin Void Stage powerhouse who had been guarding outside the main hall, guarding Jihan Nua. He also knew that Jiangsu had entered the main hall, but at this moment, the main hall's sudden collapse shocked this powerhouse. When he rushed in from the side of the door that was still intact, he just happened to see Jihan Nua's figure flashing out. Young sect leader, this second-level Origin Void Stage powerhouse saw Jiangsu with a glance, but at this moment, their young sect leader had turned into an ice-cold corpse lying on the ground. Bastard! This powerhouse shouted out explosively. Never had he imagined that the young sect leader had actually died, and the young girl had instead fled. This was something that he was unable to wrap his head around no matter what. How could an Origin Void Stage young girl break open a restriction set up by an Origin Monarch Stage powerhouse? But now wasn't the time to ponder this question. This Origin Void Stage powerhouse's figure flashed out into the sky and charged into midair. Then he chased after Jihan Nua with absolute speed. A large saber was held in his hand, and amidst the terrifying Origin energy that seethed, the entire saber's body was plated with a layer of crimson gold light, and its fierce and sharp aura sliced horizontally and vertically, emitting howls in the sky. "Where do you think you're going?" The Origin Void Stage powerhouse shouted out loudly, and he swiftly closed the distance between him and Jihan Nua. A terrifying attack was brewing in his hand. He would surely be punished by the sect leader for the death of the young sect leader, and this debt had to be settled on the young girl before him. When he saw the distance between the two of them growing closer and closer, This Origin Void Stage powerhouse intended to fiercely strike the young girl to vent the anger in his heart. However, just as he was about to make his move, he saw the young girl actually take the initiative to turn around. Both of her hands were raised in front of her, and her 10 slender fingers were rapidly forming sword seals. Finally, her right hand was like a sword, and she pointed it forward. Roar! Another earth-shattering dragon's roar rang out, and it directly rushed into one's soul, causing the Origin Void Stage powerhouse's legs to go soft, and he almost fell from the sky. A green sword aura, carrying the power to tear apart the heavens and earth, attacked him from above. You overestimate yourself. This Origin Void Stage powerhouse suppressed the astonishment in his heart, but he still didn't feel that a young girl at the Origin Void Stage could pose any threat to him. As he spoke, the large saber in his hand suddenly slashed out, and a crimson gold saber ray cut through the sky, as if it had been refined by the heavens, and turned into a long rainbow, and fiercely collided with the sword aura in front of him. Chi-chi-chi, the saber ray and sword aura tore and rubbed against each other, and the sharp aura burst out. The destructive power crazily spread out, and the void exploded repeatedly. In the end, Jihan Nua's cultivation was too weak, and after only the time of a few breaths, the sword aura was directly torn apart by the saber ray. WIRM Dragon soars the sky. When faced with this scene, Jihan Nua suddenly shouted out, and her 10 fingers moved swiftly, once again forming a dazzling green sword aura that lay horizontally in the sky. Her face abruptly went pale, and her red lips parted slightly before she directly spat out a mouthful of blood onto the sword aura in front of her. When this action descended, it was as if a god had descended into the mortal world, and the dark clouds in the sky pressed down, layer upon layer, and boundless wind and lightning surged throughout the sky. The aura of fiend gods roiled, and the sky shook. An even more terrifying phenomenon than before suddenly appeared, and this area of the Green Sanctuary sect instantly darkened. Countless gazes shot over from afar, and they completely didn't know what had happened. Opposite Jihan Nua, the Green Sanctuary sect's guardian at the second level of the Origin Void Stage had his eyes opened extremely wide, and his eyes were filled with endless terror. Chapter 1170. The Green Sanctuary sect's Origin Void Stage protector was instantly stunned. The pressure on the hornless dragon's body was impressive, as if it had penetrated the long river of time and came from the ancient times to the present world. It was extremely oppressive. Faintly, he could even feel the aura spewing out of the hornless dragon's mouth and nose. It carried an extremely cold aura that wanted to freeze his body. Time seemed to have frozen at this moment. Jihan Noa stood behind the hornless dragon. The corner of her mouth that was stained with blood moved slightly as she softly spat out a word. Go! Roar! The enormous hornless dragon immediately rushed out. Its huge mouth opened wide, revealing its dense fangs. The violent aura was vast and mighty. In an instant, it swallowed the body of the Origin Void Stage protector. When the enormous hornless dragon's body rushed past, it quickly faded. The protector's figure appeared out of thin air from the dragon's tail. His entire body looked normal, but his eyes were wide open like a pair of copper bells, and his breathing gradually faded away. When his last breath was released, his body directly fell from the sky, straight down, and brazenly smashed into a square in the Green Sanctuary sect. With a bang, net-like cracks appeared on the bluestone ground. A ball of blood spurted out from the protector's body like a blooming flower. Such a scene was completely seen by the pairs of eyes of the Green Sanctuary sect below. What a powerful girl! When the main hall collapsed, the remaining dozen or so people of the Jade Tripod sect also sensed the commotion and walked out of the main hall. In addition, Jiang Zikin and the others had all seen everything that had just happened. Even though most of these people were Origin Emperor Realm experts, their eyes were filled with extreme shock at this moment. Of course, they could see that the young girl's cultivation was still at the origin true stage. She was still very far from the origin void stage. However, a second-level origin void stage powerhouse actually died under a single blow from her without any ability to resist. Although there was a huge element of luck in this, it was undeniable that the young girl's methods were terrifying. Sect Master, not good. Young Sect Master. Right at this moment, a middle-aged man at the origin true stage rushed out from the main hall. When he saw Jiang Zikin, he immediately cried out in grief. This person had entered the main hall with the origin void stage protector, but his speed was far inferior to the protector. It was only now that he ran out again. Sewer, what happened to him? Jiang Zikin was shocked and realized that something was wrong. He pulled a long face and quickly ran into the dilapidated hall. He saw Jiang Su's body lying on the ground at a glance. Sua, Jiang Zikin cried out in grief. He stepped forward and held Jiang Su in his arms. In an instant, tears streamed down his face. He did not see any wounds on Jiang Su's body, but the vitality in his body had been completely cut off, just like the protector. In a flash, Jiang Zikin roughly guessed what had happened. His only son, Jiang Su, had died in Ji Hanua's hands. His eyes instantly turned crimson red, and endless fury filled them. What a female thief! I want you to pay with your life for my son. Ji Tianfu, Xinjian faction. Everyone will die with my son. These words came out of Jiang Zikin's mouth. His figure directly soared into the sky and rapidly approached Ji Hanua. His only son had died, and a monstrous hatred invaded his mind, making him furious. He wanted to kill Ji Hanua immediately. A ferocious aura rose around him. The cultivation of the Origin Emperor realm was fully activated. Killing intent surged, and his majesty was destructive. At this moment, although Ji Hanua relied on her vitality to transform and barely stood in midair, she had no way to escape. Just the pressure on Jiang Zikin's body alone made her unable to breathe. The gap between two major realms was not something that could be closed by a secret technique. Even the Hornless Dragon Sword art could not fill this huge gap. I dare to bet that the one who will be destroyed in the end will definitely be your Green Sanctuary sect, and not my Xinjian faction. Facing the attack of a high-level Origin Emperor realm expert, Ji Hanua resisted the monstrous pressure and tried her best to calm her voice. Although she already knew that the Green Sanctuary sect had climbed up the big tree of the Jade Tripod sect, she had absolute confidence in Su Yi for no reason. As long as that youth was around, the Xinjian faction would be safe, and the Green Sanctuary sect would also pay the absolute price for their actions. The price was destruction. No matter what happens in the future, I only want your life now to appease my son's spirit in heaven. Jiang Zikin roared. His eyes were bloodshot, and his eyes were about to crack. He suddenly punched out. On his fist, the image of a saber-toothed tiger rushed out and pounced towards Ji Hanua. Ji Hanua's beautiful eyes glowed faintly. She did not immediately respond to such an attack. Instead, she raised her head slightly and looked into the distance. Su Yi, will you come? As her red lips parted slightly, a soft voice came out, as if it was a call from the deepest part of her heart. She knew that she was definitely not Jiang Zikin's match. After this attack, she would most likely die. Ji Hanua was not too afraid of death. However, at this final moment, she still wanted to see the figure that she had missed for a long time. However, even though she looked through the autumn water, the distance was still empty. Roar! At this moment, the saber-toothed tiger's roar shook the void like thunder. Ji Hanua instantly retracted her mind. At the same time, she formed a seal with both hands and spat out another large mouthful of blood. Roar! The hornless dragon appeared again, and its body crushed the void. This attack condensed all of Ji Hanua's strength and brazenly collided with Jiang Zikin's attack. The hornless dragon against the hornless tiger. A terrifying battle between a dragon and a tiger began. Both of them bared their fangs and brandished their claws at the same time, launching ferocious attacks. However, the hornless dragon was still too inferior. In less than a breath's time, it was torn into pieces by the saber-toothed tiger. Following that, the tall tiger charged horizontally and crashed into Ji Hanwha's delicate body. Bang! Unsurprisingly, Ji Hanwha's figure shot out, turning into a straight line as she flew extremely far away. Along the way, a string of desolate blood streaked across the void like a trickle of rain. "Father, I'll take my leave first." Ji Hanwha's last thought was of her father. In addition, that youth's figure also appeared in her mind. "Su-yi, I hope to see you again in my next life." As such thoughts flashed past her mind, she finally lost consciousness and continued to fly in the void. Roar! Jiang Zikin moved once again, and the saber-toothed tiger followed him, flying even faster than Ji Hanwha. "You hurt my son's life. I'll tear you into pieces." Jiang Zikin's voice was gloomy to the extreme. The saber-toothed tiger roared again, and with a few huge strides, it caught up to Ji Hanwha and clawed out, wanting to tear her into pieces. But suddenly, a black shadow rushed over from the distance. It was as fast as thunder and as fast as lightning. It was unknown how many times faster than Jiang Zikin and the hornless tiger's speed. Swish! Before the black shadow arrived, it was accompanied by a monstrous flame that spread across the sky, burning the sky red. This was not an ordinary flame. It carried an incomparably high temperature, and it transformed into the shape of a fire phoenix, directly suppressing the hornless tiger's shadow. Roar! Under the effect of the flame, the hornless tiger's figure was burned into wisps of black gas at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, before it touched Ji Hanwha's body, it completely disappeared. Such a scene caused Jiang Zikin's pupils to suddenly constrict. Under his gaze, the figure of a small bird appeared. It released an invisible aura and lifted Ji Hanwha's body into the air. This small bird was very small and looked ordinary. However, it had just erupted with a power that even Jiang Zikin was afraid of. Swish, swish, swish. Soon, several figures rushed over from afar. After a few breaths, they landed on the scene. Seeing the people who came, Jiang Zikin sneered. He naturally recognized them. These people were from the Bawang sect, led by Su-yi. The arrival of the Bawang sect and the others had long been within their detection, and the Green Sanctuary sect had already made all the preparations. With the support of the Jade Tripod sect, no matter who came from the Bawang sect, they would all die here. "Boss," after Su-yi arrived. Handsome Su handed Ji Hanwha over to him. Han holding the young girl's limp body in his arms. Su-yi's lips trembled slightly. After a slight examination, he found that the vitality in Ji Hanwha's body had actually been cut off. Flatten the Green Sanctuary sect. Kill anyone you see without mercy. Indifferent words came out of Su-yi's mouth. His face was as calm as water. He carried Ji Hanwha's body and landed on the ground. He said, "Little Marshal, protect me." "Yes, boss." Little Marshal Su agreed and landed beside Su-yi. Chi-chi. In the next moment, a mysterious light emitted from Su-yi's body. A terrifying aura spread out from the light, as if it had transcended the current world, with the charm of an ancient wilderness. The mysterious space was opened by Su-yi, and he directly brought Ji Hanwha into it. Time was short, and Su-yi did not have time to find any secret places. He did not care about the mysterious space being exposed. He only wanted to seize every minute and second to try to save Ji Hanwha. In the outside world, Little Marshal Su stood guard outside the light, not allowing anyone to approach. That is, the power of the mysterious ball of light attracted Jiang Zikin's attention, but he could not find out its true background. This is definitely not an ordinary item. It must be the supreme treasure on Su-yi's body. Seeing Su-yi disappear into the ball of light with Ji Hanwha, Elder Li and the others from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect in the distance also saw this scene and could not help but have guesses in their hearts. That mysterious aura made them feel incomparably palpitating, especially Elder Li's eyes, which were even more shocked. However, at this moment, several figures stepped out of the air and landed in front of them. From today onwards, the Green Sanctuary sect will no longer exist in this world. Green Emperor, Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and the spirit-devouring emperor stood in the air. They stepped out and faced Jiang Zikan. Chapter 1171. What a terrifying four beast emperors. Elder Li and more than 10 Origin Emperor Realm experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were all gathered at this moment. With the arrival of the Bawang sect, it was time for them to attack at the same time. After sensing the auras of the Green Emperor and the other three, these people were all shocked. The four beast emperors seemed to be much more terrifying than the legends. In an instant, many people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were shocked. The strength of the Bawang sect seemed to be even stronger than they had imagined. So what if they're powerful? With Elder Li here, no one from a Bawang sect will be able to escape today. Luge was sneered and said loudly, with Elder Li here, a few beast emperors are nothing but trash. Hearing these words, the hearts of the people of the Green Sanctuary sect calmed down. They were no longer afraid of the Bawang sect. Elder Li of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect was at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm. In addition to the other dozen or so people, all of them were at least at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm. On the other hand, there were only 6 people from the Bawang sect. For the time being, only the 4 beast emperors were attacking. This huge difference in strength multiplied their confidence. In comparison, the Bawang sect was definitely hitting a rock with an egg. No matter how strong the 4 beast emperors were, 1 or 2 of them were only at the 5th to 6th level of the Demon Emperor realm when they attacked outside the Myriad Spirits Mystic realm a few months ago. What a weak opponent. Then let's see who is the weak one. Green Emperor roared. Green light blotted out the sky and earth, turning into ferocious and domineering snake-shaped creatures. They twisted and turned in the void, valiantly attacking. Kill! Yang Ming, Yin Ming, and the spirit-devouring emperor also moved at the same time. The 4 beast emperors did not say anything and opened the curtains of the battle. In an instant, they unleashed an unimaginable attack, including all the more than 10 Origin Emperor Realm experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect and the Green Sanctuary sect. Let's end the battle quickly and take them down. Elder Li shouted loudly and led everyone to fight. For a moment, a terrifying battle unfolded. Both sides moved with all their strength and launched a ferocious attack. Within the territory of the Qing Ming House, an unparalleled amount of energy shot up into the sky and danced in the wind. Countless trees were flattened, and terrifying craters appeared on the ground. Many buildings collapsed. A large number of disciples from the Green Sanctuary sect escaped from the ground and went outside the battlefield to watch from afar. Everyone had been notified that the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect had come to help the Green Sanctuary sect, so they were not afraid of the Bawang sect at all. In other words, none of the disciples of the Green Sanctuary sect escaped. They were all waiting for the end of the battle because the result was already decided. The people of the Bawang sect were all going to die. While the terrifying battle was going on, Su Xiaoshui was floating in the air above the mysterious ball of light, guarding it silently, not allowing anyone to get close. A few daring people from the Green Sanctuary clan tried to investigate, but they were all burned to ashes by handsome Su's bird beak. Kid, what happened? In the mysterious space. After Su, Yi brought Jihannuan, the blood jade spirit ginseng, sensed the commotion and couldn't help but come out of the spirit herb field and ask. Seeing that he brought in an unfamiliar woman this time, the blood jade spirit ginseng guessed that something big must have happened. Master Ginseng, quickly think of a way to save her. Su Yi placed Jihannuan on the ground and said anxiously to the blood jade spirit ginseng. He stared at the big ginseng in front of him. Now, all his hopes were placed on it. Jihannua's vitality had already been cut off. If she wanted to revive the dead, only an existence like the blood jade spirit ginseng could save her. This little girl's vitality has been cut off. Moreover, she has exhausted too much of her strength, and her body has suffered great damage. The situation is much more serious than it looks on the surface. The blood jade spirit Ginseng went forward and said in a deep voice after checking Ji Hanua's condition, "Master Ginseng, you must have a way. As long as you can save her life, I will agree to any request you have." Su-yi grabbed the blood jade spirit Ginseng and hurriedly said. Such words made the blood jade spirit Ginseng look at Su-yi in surprise. This kid had always been shrewd to the extreme. He calculated everything and was definitely not willing to suffer losses. It seemed that this was the first time he had made such a promise. It seems that this little girl is very important to you. The blood jade spirit Ginseng sighed softly and shook its head. It's not that there's no way to save her, but even if it's me, I will have to pay a great price. If I want to restore her vitality, I will have to consume my life essence. Only then will there be a 30% chance. Only 30%. Su-yi's expression changed when he heard that. If even the blood jade spirit Ginseng said that, then it really wasn't good news. Endless self-blame surged in Su-yi's heart. It was all his fault for coming too late. If he had come earlier, perhaps the situation would be completely different. He might have been able to successfully save Ji Hanua. Now that there was only a 30% chance, it was hard for him to accept. Kid, there isn't much time. If you still want to save her, don't dawdle. The blood jade spirit Ginseng said. No matter how much hope there is, I must save her. Grandpa Ginseng, I will agree to any request you have. Su-yi said anxiously. The blood jade spirit Ginseng stared at him and sighed. I also don't know what I owe you to actually have to consume my life essence to help you save someone this time. The loss this time, you have to give me at least 5 bottles of spirit liquid to make up for it. Just as the blood jade spirit Ginseng finished speaking, Su-yi continued, 10 bottles. Grandpa Ginseng, quickly save her. As long as you can successfully save her life, I will give you 10 bottles of spirit liquid. At this critical moment, Su-yi already couldn't care about anything. If he could save Ji Hanua, he was willing to pay any price. All right, then I will try. I will definitely do my best to save this little girl. The blood jade spirit Ginseng gave Su-yi a deep look again. After that, it didn't delay and directly floated above Ji Hanua's body. Waves of dark green light emitted out like clouds and mist, slowly entering Ji Hanua's body. This power was rapidly repairing the injuries in the young girl's body. The damaged meridians were continuously being connected. Su-yi stood by the side and watched his heart beating extremely fast. He knew that the green cloud and mist thing was the blood jade spirit Ginseng's life essence. What made him feel even more gratified was that he could clearly feel that Ji Hanua's heart also started to beat. The blood in her body also started to flow, and her chest also heaved up and down. This was the sign of her life force being reignited. This scene made Su incomparably happy. Walala. Everything was still going on. The blood jade spirit Ginseng's entire body was enveloped by the green light. But as time passed, this green light became dimmer and dimmer. Its power consumption was enormous, and the loss was very rapid. Not long after, only to hear a chi sound. The green light suddenly withdrew, forcibly cut off by the blood jade spirit Ginseng. The external power returned to its body anew. His figure suddenly swayed in midair, and he almost fell to the ground. Grandpa Ginseng, are you okay? Su-yi exclaimed and quickly rushed forward to support it. I'm not dead yet. The blood jade spirit Ginseng struggled to stand straight on the ground and said, indicating that Su-yi was fine. Nevertheless, it was obvious that its vitality was really damaged this time. Its body suddenly became thinner, and it was very conspicuous. Su-yi took out 3 bottles of spiritual liquid from his interspatial bag and handed them to the blood jade spirit Ginseng. He said, I don't have much spiritual liquid left on me. There's still many things to deal with outside, so I'll give you 3 bottles first. As for the rest, I'll find a way to give them to you as soon as possible. Okay. The blood jade spirit Ginseng did not stand on ceremony. After receiving the 3 bottles of spiritual liquid, it directly opened one of them and drank it. "Grandpa Ginseng, how's Hanua's situation?" He asked again. Under his observation, Hanua's signs were weaker than before. This was caused by the blood jade spirit Ginseng's life essence being cut off. However, her heartbeat, blood flow, breathing, and so on were still there. It could be seen that the blood jade spirit Ginseng's life essence was powerful. Even after it was cut off, the remaining essence was still playing a huge role. It's hard to say now. I just injected my life essence in her body and urged her body to operate. However, whether she can truly survive or not still depends on her. Moreover, even if she survives, it will take a long time for her to truly recover, the blood jade spirit Ginseng said. Is that so? He frowned. He understood that Hanua had not truly revived yet. Everything still needed time to be determined. He felt extremely worried and did not know what the final result would be. All he could do now was to do his best and leave the rest to fate. "Kid, leave the matters here to me first. If you have something to do outside, quickly go and do it." The blood jade spirit Ginseng refined a little of the spiritual liquid and then said, "I'll take good care of this little girl. As long as she's strong enough, she'll definitely be able to survive." "Okay, then I'll have to trouble Grandpa Ginseng." He clasped his fists and bowed to the blood jade spirit Ginseng. Hanua's body began to operate. This was the limit of what the blood jade spirit Ginseng could do. In the end, she still had to rely on her own willpower. Right now, the 4 beast emperors were fighting in the territory of the Green Sanctuary sect. Before entering the mysterious space, he also sensed that there seemed to be a large number of other experts. He did not know which faction they were from, but he was sure that not all of them were from the Green Sanctuary sect. Therefore, he had to go out and take a look. He could not let anything happen to the Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and the others. With a swoosh, he put away the mysterious space and came to the outside world. "Boss, how's the situation?" Seeing Yi appear, Su Xiaoshui immediately flew in front of him and asked. "Grandpa Ginseng has saved her, but we'll know the details later," Yi said. Then, he asked, "How's the situation over here?" As he spoke, he looked at the sky not far away. Endless light burst out there, and terrifying energy descended like a tsunami. It had a terrifying destructive power that could destroy mountains, burn the sky, and boil the sea. One could clearly sense that the battle was extremely intense and terrifying. Chapter 1172. The hot summer vacation is coming to an end, but as a hard-working coding slave, holidays and whatnot have nothing to do with me. In September, many readers and fans who are still students will be welcoming the trial of the new semester. I have also prepared a new round of benefits and paywalls, waiting for everyone to participate. It is said that the top 20 works in the August Devil Fruit ranking will participate in the reward event at the end of September. If I can get into the top 20 with everyone's support, I will reward my hardcore fans with more chapters. The Devil Fruit ranking event for the 3rd quarter of September is also coming. The number of Devil Fruits consumed by readers will be doubled, and the authors will also receive one. 5 to 4 times the reward according to the rules of the event. Furthermore, the top 12 works will be selected for the 2019 calendar design. I hope that everyone will give me a wave of Devil Fruits in September so that my works will have a chance to receive the reward and also be included in the next year's calendar. Chapter 1173. Jade Tripod Alchemy Sect. 17 Origin Emperors. Yi's eyebrows suddenly raised, and he was secretly surprised. He did not expect the Green Sanctuary sect to have the backing of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect and found a second-rate force to support them. No wonder they dared to take the initiative to attack the Xinjian sect and the Bawang sect. It turned out that their backing was very strong. Yi did not expect the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect to be on the same side as the Green Sanctuary sect. In the Bawang sect's mind, there were still 5 Origin Emperor Realm elders of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Therefore, Su Yi had long been prepared that the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect would find trouble with him, but he did not expect them to find trouble in such a way. According to my observation, 12 of these 17 Origin Emperor Realm experts are from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. One of them is at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor Realm, and one is at the 8th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. The rest are also very strong. Green Emperor and the others can still deal with it calmly, but as time passes, there might be some accidents. Su Xiaoshui stared at the sky and said to Su Yi, 9th level of the Origin Emperor Realm? Su Yi's gaze was incomparably deep. 9th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. This was an absolute expert. He had to be careful. Fortunately, Green Emperor, Yang Ming, and Yi Ming had the strength to fight head-on with a 9th level of the Origin Emperor Realm. The most worrisome thing was that the other party had too many people. If they swarmed together, it would bring great danger. Su Yi still understood the principle that ants could bite an elephant to death. What a Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. It seems that they really came prepared this time. However, if they want to deal with us like this, they are underestimating our Bawang sect too much. Su Yi said coldly, Little Commander, make your move. Today we can't let any of these Origin Emperors go. Whether it's the people of the Green Sanctuary sect, or the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, they all have to die. Boundless killing intent surged in the void, like a wave that surged into the sky, whistling through the air and sweeping in all directions. Jihanua's life and death was unpredictable. Su Yi had to take revenge first. Kill. Hearing Su Yi's words, Su Xiaoshui flapped his wings and soared into the sky. He used the most direct and tyrannical method to break into the chaotic battle circle. Su Yi's body flashed with light, and a full set of armor appeared and wrapped around his body. The armor shone brightly as if it was covered in dragon scales, making Su Yi look majestic and domineering. Su Yi's sect. Su Yi was Alchemy sect. Alchemy sect at this moment. Whether it was Elder Li and the others of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, or Jiang Zikan and the others of the Green Sanctuary sect, all of them were filled with endless shock. However, as the battle dragged on, they noticed to their horror that the 4 Beast Emperors were terrifyingly formidable. How can the small Bawang sect have so many experts? Elder Li's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He could not calm down, and there were stormy waves surging in his heart. Rumor had it that the Bawang sect only had 3 Demon Emperor Realm experts. 2 of them were at the peak of the 5th level of the Demon Emperor Realm, and the 3rd Beast Emperor was at the beginning of the 5th level of the Demon Emperor Realm. It was one thing for a Demon Emperor to suddenly appear, but why did 3 Demon Emperors appear at the 8th level of the Demon Emperor Realm? The difference between this and the rumors was too great. The previous news was definitely not fake. After all, many forces had already confirmed it. But where was the problem? The 3 Beast Emperors would never have such a huge breakthrough in a short period of time. This was simply shocking. After fighting for a long time, the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect side actually did not have the slightest advantage. The 4 Beast Emperors on the other side actually forcefully withstood the attacks of the 17 of them. If such a situation were spread, it would scare many people. Kill. However, at this moment, Su Xiaoshui and Su Yi rushed into the battle circle one after another, causing a huge change in the battle once again. Under the powerful impact of the 2 of them, in just an instant, the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect and the Green Sanctuary sect side were like a basin of calm water that had been impacted by a huge force and suddenly shook. Everyone retreat. Elderly let out a long shout that shook the sky. Under his orders, everyone from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect instantly retreated. The few people from the Green Sanctuary sect were not fast either. Soon, they exposed Green Emperor Yang Ming, Yi Ming, the spirit-devouring emperor, as well as Su Yi and Su Xiaoshui. If the chaotic battle continued, they would definitely fall into a disadvantage, and the situation would gradually change. At that time, The one who would be passively beaten would not be the Boang sect, but themselves. Form a formation and attack. We must suppress all of these people. Elderly instructed. Then he saw that the 12 people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were divided into 4 groups of 3. Elderly himself also led 2 people at the 6th and 7th level of the Origin Emperor realm, forming a tripartite formation. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In the next moment, the bodies of the 4 groups of experts bloomed with prenatal chi light, and then it covered all 3 people in each group. Under the combination of a light, it quickly transformed into the shape of a large cauldron, and the 3 people were like the 3 legs of this large cauldron, standing steadily in the air. Form a formation? So he looked at this scene and raised his eyebrows. He had also heard that some cultivation methods would have special methods, especially in large factions. When facing the attack of a powerful enemy, they would need to form a formation to resist and gather the strength of everyone to fight against a powerful enemy. The method that the people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were using now belonged to this kind of method. However, Su-yi did not particularly care about this because he knew very well that in the face of absolute strength, this kind of combination change was completely useless. Yang Ming, In Ming. Su-yi suddenly spoke in a deep voice. He pointed the long sword in his hand in the direction of Elder Li's group and asked, "That old thing, if you join forces to deal with him, are you confident in killing him quickly?" He thought of one thing, and that was that Yang Ming and In Ming were originally one. If the 2 of them fought together, it would be very terrifying. Su-yi had never seen such a situation before, but now he felt that it was time for the 2 of them to show it. "Master, if the 2 of us join forces, killing this old thing will be like slaughtering a dog." Yang Ming's eyes shone as he said coldly. At the side, Yiming took a step forward and stood beside him, nodding slightly. "All right, I'll leave these 3 old dogs to you," Su-yi said. "All right." Yang Ming and Yiming nodded at the same time, and then the 2 of them jumped up at the same time. Under the shocked gazes of everyone, black and white light rose from the 2 of them, spreading out in the void like clouds. Then, the 2 Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragons, one white and one black, appeared. Their scales were eerie and extremely terrifying. An invisible pressure rose in the air, causing the eyes of Elder Li and the rest to tremble violently. Roar! After Yang Ming and Yi Ming revealed their true forms, they roared and charged at each other fiercely. Tsk, tisk. There was no terrifying collision sound. Instead, the 2 of them blended together like water and milk and quickly merged into one. Then, a Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon that was hundreds of feet long appeared. Its scales were spread out, half white and half black. Its huge eyes turned and looked at Elder Li and the rest. A terrifying roar was heard, and the void was distorted for a moment. Puffed, puffed. Among everyone present, all martial artists below the 6th level of the Origin Emperor realm spat out mouthfuls of blood in an instant. They were injured in the blink of an eye. Such might cause everyone's hearts to palpitate. Even those who were not injured felt suffocated and had difficulty breathing. Elder Li was no exception. Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon. How can there be such a powerful Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon? Elder Li's eyes were filled with fear. He finally realized that they had underestimated the Boang sect. He had never heard of Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon that could merge into one. But now that he saw it, it was incomparably terrifying. Just this beast emperor was enough for them to have a good time. Old dog died. The Yin-Yang Hell Flood Dragon opened its mouth and brazenly charged towards the group of people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect that Elder Li was in. At the same time, a black and white beam of light shot out from its mouth. It was as thick as a small mountain and directly charged toward the other side. "Quickly block with all your strength." Elder Li's eyes bulged as he shouted. The prenatal chi in his body began to circulate crazily, and all of it entered the large cauldron of light outside his body. The other 2 people behind him did not dare to be negligent. They also used all their strength, causing the large cauldron to seem as if it was about to condense into a substance, emitting a thick aura. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, the black and white beam of light fiercely collided with the large cauldron. In an instant, it was as if a mountain had been directly flipped over. The large cauldron rolled in the void, causing the space to rumble and tremble endlessly. A moment later, the two people behind Elderly suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. As for Elderly himself, he also suffered a huge shock. Although he did not vomit blood, the chi and blood in his body were rolling endlessly. In such a situation, not only were the people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect shocked, even Su Yi's eyelids could not help but twitch. Yang Ming and Yi Ming had said that after they merged, they would be very powerful, and their strength would increase exponentially. However, they did not expect that they would be so powerful, causing people to be extremely terrified. According to the situation just now, killing the old man and the other two at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm was really as easy as slaughtering dogs. At this point, Su Yi finally felt confident. Green Emperor, you take care of those 3 people. Su Yi raised his hand again and pointed at another group of experts from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. Yes, Master. The Green Emperor responded and dashed off without a second thought. The remaining 6 people, Spirit Devouring Emperor, and I will hold them off for a while. Su Yi said. Then he said, Little Commander, you take care of the 5 people from the Green Sanctuary sect. You must kill them and then come and help us. Understood, boss. Chapter 1174. The terrifying and blazing flames descended, causing the 5 people from the Green Sanctuary sect, including Jiang Zikan, to feel their scalps go numb in an instant. The boundless scorching power surged layer by layer. The 5 of them felt as if they were in a huge furnace. Even their bones and souls seemed to be ignited and were about to be burned into ashes. Their expressions instantly became absent-minded. Stop him! Jiang Zikan shouted loudly, intimidated by Handsome Su's terrifying might. He tried his best to control his spiritual altar to maintain a trace of clarity. He raised his fist horizontally and suddenly blasted it towards the surrounding flames. At the same time, under Jiang Zikan's loud shout, the remaining Green Sanctuary sect's Origin Emperor Realm Elders also began to counterattack, wanting to break through the flame cage and break free. How dare you jump around like a clown? Faced with this situation, Handsome Su let out a cold snort. He flapped his wings anxiously, and even more violent flames surged out. The boundless divine flames of the 9 heavens descended, continuously trapping the people of the Green Sanctuary sect tightly within. Immediately after, Handsome Su let out a goo sound from his throat. His wings were like blades, cutting a gap in the flames that filled the sky. His figure flashed into it, and he began to fight with Jiang Zikan and the others at close range. On the other side, the Green Emperor also attacked fiercely. The snake's true form appeared, and in the sky, it was filled with endless brazen aura. Green light burst out, piercing through heaven and earth, and whistling through the air. The terrifying snake tail struck the 9 heavens above and the boundless thick earth below. It was as if it could shake the heavens and earth. The scene was terrifying. The huge light cauldron formed by the 3 Origin Emperor Realm experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect was shining with divine light. It was like a huge mountain moving in the void, emitting rumbling sounds. Then, the Green Emperor's snake tail fiercely collided with the light cauldron in an incomparably tyrannical manner. Boom! The loud sound shook the world. The void shook, the sky trembled, and the earth trembled. A destructive storm swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. It was as if hundreds of thousands of mountains had exploded and endless light soared up. A terrifying aura of destruction swept out in all directions. In the Qingming mountain range, a towering mountain peak was directly sent flying by this energy storm. It was swept high into the sky and then exploded into smoke and dust. Who knows how many disciples of the Green Sanctuary House were turned into ashes by this collision. Not even a speck of dust was left behind. Let's go, let's go. Other than the Origin Emperor realm experts of the Green Sanctuary sect, there was a large number of disciples who were watching from below. However, at this moment, all of them were extremely terrified in their hearts, and they started to flee towards the outskirts of the mountain range like stray dogs. No one dared to linger around. In fact, no one had expected the Bawang sect to be so strong. Can't even withstand a single blow. Within the boundless storm, the Green Emperor coldly snorted. The huge-sounding snake's body was rolling in the terrifying energy torrent. It was like a divine dragon that could control the wind and clouds, brazenly and peerless. Chi-Chi, the three Origin Emperor realm experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, were sent flying backwards. Wide cracks appeared on the huge cauldron of light, and it was about to collapse. Among them, 3 of them were bleeding from the corners of their mouths. They were severely injured. Roar! Once again, the Green Emperor let out an earth-shattering roar. The color of the vast green light changed abruptly and turned into a pure gold color. It was as if a bright sun had appeared in the sky. The scales on his body were also circulating with green and gold. They looked as if they were made of gold and iron. The snake's body was strong, as if a true dragon had descended. Roar! Another roar came from the Green Emperor's mouth. However, this time, it was like a dragon's roar. It had the power to tear apart the heavens and earth, and it went straight to the depths of one's soul. A 1,000-foot-long golden dragon phantom appeared out of nowhere and merged with the Green Emperor's body. It moved along with his movements, twisting its body and crushing the void as it pounced out again. Waves of wind and thunder surged, and the black clouds in the sky churned endlessly. This was the Golden Dragon technique, the supreme benefit that the Green Emperor obtained after refining the Golden Dragon's blood essence. Run! The 3 people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect were greatly shocked. That terrifying pressure suppressed them, causing them to be overwhelmed with shock. They no longer had any intention of resisting. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they still instinctively sensed the extreme danger. They knew that they were no match for the Green Emperor. There's no place for you to escape to. Such words came out of the Green Emperor's mouth. He opened his mouth wide and spat out a pillar of flame. With a boom, it hit the light cauldron formed by the 3 of them, causing it to explode with a bang. Puffed! The light cauldron dissipated, and the 3 experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect each spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing the sky red. 3 silhouettes streaked across the sky like shooting stars. The Green Emperor twisted his body and continued to chase after them. To catch bandits, first catch the leader. Join forces to deal with this brat. On the other side, the 6 experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect formed 2 groups of light cauldrons and surrounded Su-Yi at the same time. The situation elsewhere made them shocked. At this time, they could no longer care about anything else. They wanted to capture Su-Yi first. Otherwise, the situation would be very bad after a long time. How dare you touch my master? The spirit-devouring emperor directly stood in front of Su-Yi and faced the 6 experts. A terrifying icy aura spread out from his body, carrying an all-pervasive soul attack. It instantly invaded the minds of the 6 people. The surrounding space seemed to be about to be frozen. Caught off guard, the 6 of them were in a daze. However, they quickly stabilized themselves with the help of the combined attack of the cauldrons. They no longer dared to underestimate the spirit-devouring emperor. The people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect deserved to die. Su-Yi's eyes narrowed, and a violent aura surged. The brilliance of the demon god battle armor flowed endlessly, and a boundless murderous aura appeared in the broken sword. A monstrous killing intent surged in the void. Su-Yi's great void divine sea churned endlessly, setting off stormy waves. It circulated to his arm and once again entered the broken sword in his hand. The 13 swords of Gale swung out and instantly condensed 13 sword beams. At the same time, they attacked 3 of the experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. "Fight!" The spirit-devouring emperor shouted sternly, and a cold aura spread out from his body. Even the space was frozen, and the movements of the 6 people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect became extremely slow. At the same time, the unique soul attack of the Ice Marrow Spirit-devouring insect constantly attacked the 6 of them, causing their combat strength to be greatly reduced. "Kill!" Su-Yi roared, and the sword beam slashed horizontally, instantly hitting one of the large cauldrons. Chi-La. A long sword mark was left on the large cauldron, and it slowly healed after a moment. "We'll block this beast, Emperor. The 3 of you quickly capture and kill Su-Yi." At this moment, among the 6 people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, an old man at the 7th level of the Origin Emperor realm shouted. Then, he led the 2 people behind him and charged towards the spirit-devouring emperor with all his might. "Brat, prepare to die." Seeing such a scene, the other 3 people didn't need to say anything at all. They instantly charged towards Su-Yi. The enormous cauldron of light pressed down on the void and collided with the sword light that Su-Yi had condensed once again. Bang! With a muffled sound, Su-Yi's body was sent flying as expected, drawing a straight line and shooting into the distance. The difference in strength between the 2 was too great. Even with the broken sword in hand and the demon god battle armor on his body, he was still unable to compare to a true Origin Emperor realm expert. Not to mention that there were 3 6th and 7th level Origin Emperor realm experts working together. He's just a brat at the Origin Void realm. He must die today. The eyes of the leading old man at the 7th level of the Origin Emperor realm flashed with sharpness, and the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. The 2 people behind him were the same. They were full of confidence that the attack just now could definitely seriously injure Su-Yi and kill him. No matter how strong the Origin Void realm was, no matter how abnormal that youth was, it was impossible for him to have any luck in front of him. However, in the next moment, the sneers of the 3 people instantly froze on their faces. They were shocked to see that the youth's figure suddenly stopped after flying back 1,000 feet. He froze in the void and looked over again. How is this possible? The 3 experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy clan were shocked. No matter what, they could not understand how this youth could do this. He could actually withstand their full strength attack and be unharmed. The people who deserve to die today are you. Su-Yi forcefully swallowed the blood that surged up his throat, and the surging vitality in his body was slowly suppressed. His eyes were brewing with boundless coldness, and his killing intent was vast and mighty. He had the demon god battle armor on his body, the Vajra body, and the golden dragon's blood essence to temper his body. Only then did he barely withstand that terrifying attack. In fact, he was indeed seriously injured, but he was far from dying. I don't believe that I can't kill a brat at the Origin Void realm. The experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy clan roared, and their faces were twitching. Another round of attacks came brazenly, wanting to rely on their absolute advantage to kill Su-Yi. Is that so? Su-Yi stood in the void and watched this scene quietly, without the slightest reaction. Chapter 1175. Su-Yi's gaze landed on the battlefield after Yang Ming and Yin Ming merged. The Yin Yang Abyss Flood Dragon's 1,000-foot-long body stretched across the void. Every time it twisted, it was accompanied by a terrifying demonic aura. The sound of heavenly music lingered in all directions, and the black and white light pillars punished the heavens and killed the earth. On the opposite side, the 3 people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, led by Elder Li, were completely suppressed by the Yin Yang Abyss Flood Dragon. The incomparably thick light pillar struck out and brazenly attacked the light cauldron formed by the 3 of them. It emitted a vast, vibrating sound wave, causing the entire world to shake nonstop. After several strikes, the three of them rolled nonstop in the void, as if a huge rock had been lifted up and smashed down. Elder Lee, who was at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, also spat out blood. His face was pale, and his aura was more than half dispirited. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the yin-yang abyss flood dragon's body also soared with golden light, giving it an incomparably mysterious color. Following that, an extremely terrifying pressure descended. It was as if a divine dragon had passed through the ancient primordial era, crossed the endless river of time, and arrived in the present world. The yin-yang abyss flood dragon opened its huge mouth and suddenly inhaled. Whoosh! A terrifying and boundless force swept out, and a huge vortex formed out of nowhere. A powerful suction force burst forth, and everything within a radius of 1 mile rolled over. Down below, towering trees were uprooted from the ground. Mountains crumbled, and boulders that weighed tens of thousands of kilograms flew into the air and into the whirlpool. Then, they were torn into pieces by the tyrannical tearing force and swallowed into the yin-yang hell flood dragon's mouth. For a moment, the sky and earth in the nearby area darkened, as if the end of the world had suddenly arrived. Storms howled and lightning raged in the sky. The void directly distorted and deformed, as if a cloth curtain had been hammered in the middle, producing terrifying wrinkles. Not good, quickly hold on. Elder Lee's heart had already sunk to the bottom of the valley, and he could not help but shout loudly. He felt great danger. The strength of this yin-yang abyss flood dragon had far exceeded his imagination. As an existence at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, Elder Lee and the other two were actually no match for the yin-yang abyss flood dragon. Half-step Origin Ancestor realm. It definitely has the strength of a half-step Origin Ancestor realm. Someone behind Elder Lee cried out in alarm. Only a Yuan Zone realm expert could affect the void. Although the yin-yang abyssal flood dragon did not have a half-step Yuan ancestor cultivation base, its true power had already reached that level. A single force could break through all techniques. Deep creases appeared in space. This was the embodiment of absolute strength. Hold on, Elder Lee shouted loudly. He struggled to maintain the radiant cauldron and struggled with all his might. He was very clearly aware that if he was swallowed into the enormous vortex and entered the yin-yang hell flood dragon's stomach, then he would probably die today. Such an outcome caused him to tremble with fear, and he used all his strength in an attempt to escape from the yin-yang abyssal flood dragon's attack. Roar! Suddenly, just as Elder Lee was struggling with all his might, the yin-yang hell flood dragon's swallowing action suddenly stopped. Then it suddenly spat out a beam of light. This pillar of light was several times thicker than the previous one, and it was mixed with countless broken trees and gravel. It was like a Milky Way from the 9 heavens, and with lightning speed, it fiercely struck the large cauldron around Elder Lee and the other two. Boom! A loud explosion shook the world, and heaven and earth shook. It was as if an earthquake had occurred in the green Abyss mountain range. The terrifying roar continued to resound, causing everyone's eardrums to go numb and their nerves to go numb. Even their souls were about to collapse. Elder Lee and the other two bore the brunt of the impact. Under the impact of this powerful force, the large cauldron around them exploded into pieces. The remaining force of the light pillar did not diminish, and it once again struck the bodies of the three people. PFFF, PFFF, 2 consecutive muffled sounds were heard. Apart from Elder Lee, the other 2 people were struck by the light pillar, and their bodies instantly exploded into 2 clouds of blood mist. They died an unnatural death. Elder Lee's chest caved in, and he was about to be squashed into a pancake. However, he relied on the absolute strength of a 9th-level Yuan Emperor to forcibly preserve his life under this attack. A centipede dies, but never falls down. The yin-yang abyssal flood dragon's huge eyes narrowed, and his imposing aura surged. He saw the situation on the other side. At this moment, three people once again charged towards Su-yi. Then, he saw the yin-yang abyss flood dragon's huge tail suddenly swing and directly hit Elder Li's body, causing him to shoot out explosively. In an instant, it hit the three experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect who were charging towards Su-yi. Boom! With another loud bang, the large cauldron of light around the three of them was directly annihilated into nothingness. Even the bodies of the three people were directly exploded into pieces. They did not even have the slightest ability to resist. Elder Li was also directly killed after this attack. His body was torn into pieces and slowly fell from the void. He was deader than dead. Elder Li. The world seemed to have quieted down for a moment after this scene. People everywhere saw this scene and could not help but be shocked and aghast. The remaining experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect and the 5 people from the Green Abyss sect were all sweating profusely. They all widened their eyes and looked at the yin-yang abyss flood dragon that was lying in the void in disbelief. How long had it been? The 3 people led by Elder Li, who was at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm, were all killed without leaving a trace. As for the other 3 people who were supposed to deal with Su-yi, they did not even have the ability to resist and died without leaving even a trace. This scene was too shocking. No. The Bawang sect can't be so strong. How can they be so strong? The sect master of the Green Abyss sect, Jiang Zikin, almost lost his mind. It was not easy for him to climb up the big tree of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect. He thought that with more than 10 Origin Emperor realm experts guarding the Green Abyss sect, it would be absolutely easy for him to make Su-yi and the other members of the Bawang sect unable to return. However, the reality was completely different from what they had imagined. The difference was like heaven and earth. Not only did the Bawang sect not lose in one fell swoop, but they even killed 6 people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect in a short while. Even the strongest elder at the 9th level of the Origin Emperor realm was not spared. Such a result was frightening, horrifying, and unbelievable. Run. After being stunned for a while, the 3 experts of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect who were fighting fiercely with the spirit-devouring emperor suddenly turned around and left with a sense of panic, wanting to escape the battle. Elder Li was already dead, and the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect's momentum was gone. They were definitely no longer a match for the Bawang sect. If they did not leave now, they would only die. Did I allow you to leave? Such words came out of the spirit-devouring emperor's mouth. His short body trembled, and in the blink of an eye, he transformed into the true form of the ice marrow spirit-devouring insect. Ice blue aura circulated and quickly spread out like a spider web, instantly freezing the surroundings. The 3 people from the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect who wanted to escape instantly froze. The sharp soul attacks attacked them wave after wave, causing their movements to be extremely slow. Their heads were about to explode. Following that, the scene that they saw caused the fear of death to appear in their eyes at the same time. They saw a thick and strong flood dragon tail attack from afar, and it suddenly struck them. Die. As soon as the yin-yang abyss flood dragon finished speaking, another loud sound was heard. The 3 of them, along with their joint attack formation, were destroyed into nothingness at the same time. Jade Tripod Alchemy sect, let's end it here. At this moment, the Green Emperor's voice was heard. Su-yi and the others looked up and saw the huge snake's body surging in the sky. The light cauldrons around the 3 people he was dealing with had long been destroyed, and the 3 of them were completely exposed. The Green Emperor swung his snake tail and swept past their bodies. Bang, 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 3 muffled sounds were heard, and, at the same time, 3 clouds of blood mist appeared in the void. Chi-Chi. On Handsome Su's side, the battle had also reached the final juncture. Of the 5 people from the Green Sanctuary sect, 3 had already died at the hands of Handsome Su. Only Jiang Zikin and an old man at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor realm were still holding on. The flaming cage that filled the sky had already been shattered, and handsome Su flapped his wings to kill. With a sweep of its tiny wings, a sharp blade slashed out and struck the old man at the 5th level of the Origin Emperor stage. The old man's body was sliced into two. The two halves of the corpse fell from the sky and smashed into the mountain below, splattering flesh and blood everywhere. "I hate this." Jiang Zikin looked up to the sky and roared, endless hatred spreading in his heart. Things suddenly turned out like this, which was something he did not dare to imagine before. The battle ended too quickly. The yin-yang abyss flood dragon, the Ming snake, the strange bird, the ice marrow spirit devouring bug, and the young man Su, he had actually killed all 16 origin emperors of the two sects in such a short time. Even now, Jiang Zikin still found it hard to believe this fact. The only outcome for those who oppose the Bawang sect is destruction. Handsome Su's throat made such a sound, and then he opened his mouth and spat out a flaming spear, which directly penetrated Jiang Zikin's head. The head exploded with a bang, and a headless corpse fell down. The sect master of the Green Sanctuary sect had died just like that. It was unknown if Jiang Zikin had any regrets in his heart when he died. He regretted making an enemy of the Bawang sect, regretted attacking Jihanhua, or regretted letting the strongest people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect leave first and head straight for the Bawang sect's mine. "Boss, it's all settled." Handsome Su landed on Su Yi's shoulder and said softly. Swoosh! In the void, the yin-yang abyss flood dragon's body flashed, and the black and white lights separated. Yang Ming and Yi Ming appeared again and stood in front of Su Yi. The Green Emperor and the Spirit-Devouring Emperor had also returned to their original forms. "Master." The 4 Beast Emperors surrounded Su Yi and spoke. Su Yi nodded silently and did not say anything. The 17 people of the Jade Tripod Alchemy sect and the Green Sanctuary sect all deserved to die. Because of Jihanhua, and also because they wanted to save Jihanhua, they saw the ball of light in Su Yi's mysterious space. The Green Sanctuary sect must disappear from this world. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.